on 270's clear. 61 or 67 south of Ontario's back open, and 64 and 5570 on the Illinois side. Everything's back on track. I'm Roger Brand in the Michael's Flooring Outlet.com traffic center.
My best friend Jenny came over for coffee, said it's cold enough in here to play hockey. Well, my furnace broken, it's already late. Call Jerry Kelly because they're open till 8. JerryKelly.com. They're fast and they're good and they got it going on. Jerry Kelly.
News, traffic, and the latest from the world of sports. This is Rush Hour Sports on 104.1 FM KMOX.
It is the Thanksgiving Eve edition of Rush Hour Sports right here on KMOX. My name's Matt Pauley. Great to have you with us this evening. I believe Bernie Miklasz is going to be with us at some point during this hour, so we hope to have him on coming up in just a little while. As always, if you want to chime in on what we are talking about, you can do so by texting in at 314-436-7900, 314-436-7900. You can also text into the program. That's where you text in. Or if you are watching us on the video stream, you can just leave a comment on the chat, and we will get to that as we go along throughout the course of the hour today. We are continuing, and I'll tell you this. The conversation is largely going to continue from Rush Hour Sports into Sports Open Line. Want to give you an opportunity to chime in a little bit on what happened yesterday with the Cardinals and where this team goes from here. The Sonny Gray trade, what that might represent, and what more might end up happening as a result of not so much a result, but who's the next player to get moved, I guess, would be the easiest and the simplest way to be able to say that. Because we know that the Cardinals are open for business. And the fact that the market had not really developed yet for starting pitching, and yet the Cardinals make this move involving Sonny Gray. And I found it interesting. I haven't really seen much from the Boston media calling the trade just like a home run for the Red Sox. It seems like a lot of folks have referred to this as a bit of an overpay for the Red Sox on what they gave up for Gray. And there are some, and this is what I was hoping, and again, I hope we get Bernie on at some point on the show today, because it's something that he talked about in one of his videos today. He got into Sonny Gray and how the Cardinals kind of handled him with kid gloves and tried to get him home starts as often as possible, and some of the struggles when it comes to pitching away from St. Louis and specifically pitching at Fenway Park and things like that. So, Bernie's going to be with us in just a few moments, and we'll get his thoughts on that. Again, if you want to chime in, you can text in 314-436-7900, or you can leave a comment on the stream, and we will discuss those things. I also, again, I'm kind of slow playing this right now because we are waiting for Bernie to come on, and I do want to I want to throw something out at him. It's something that I've been thinking about since last night, when it just, not that we need to spend a whole lot of time on Sonny Gray in Boston. I think from our listeners' perspective, I think the higher interest is what it's going to look like for the Cardinals moving forward with Richard Fitts, and I think in the starting rotation. For me, it would be a disappointment if Fitz is not part of that opening day rotation. And then obviously with Clark, just what's going to happen with him and how quickly he can move through the system. He's still probably a couple years away, but he's somebody who's got a high-end pitch, and his upside is as good and as strong as just about anybody's upside across minor league baseball right now, and that's something that Chaim Bloom absolutely did talk about yesterday. And it's just it's a good piece to bring into the organization. Anytime you can add to the top 10 of your prospect list, that's a good sign. That's a very good sign for the health of your organization. It's also, by the way, it's a good sign for the top end of the Cardinals prospecting that, like, from an MLB pipeline standpoint, Brandon Clark, I think he was ranked 4th or 5th in the Boston organization. And then he came into the Cardinals and he was ranked as in the number 7 spot. So what that tells you, and we've talked about this a lot, and Bernie brings up the Fangraphs numbers all the time because Fangraphs currently has the Cardinals farm system ranked as the top farm system in all of baseball. And different outlets have different rankings, and I know there's a lot of people that push back on the Fangraphs methodology on how they come together on that. But that being said, it does say something about what the Cardinals have been able to do with their farm system in the short amount of time. I believe we do have Bernie Miklasz available to us right now. Hello, Bernie. Happy day before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I'm sorry. A little technical difficulties on my end, so I should have texted you to let you know. You doing okay?
I am doing good. I appreciate the Navy hat that you're wearing for those of you who are watching us today. All right, so I'm going to talk for a moment, and this is going to take a second, and I want to get your thoughts on something because I watched your video today, and you discussed Sonny Gray and his numbers away from Busch Stadium and numbers at Fenway, yada, yada, yada. And I started taking that one step forward. And I like Sonny Gray. He was clearly the best pitcher for the Cardinals as far as his ceiling, his top end, the highest top end stuff the Cardinals were going to get from a starting pitching standpoint the last 2 years was going to come from Sonny Gray. So this is not me trying to trash a guy on the wall as he walks out the door.
Right.
But I am really curious. I'm really curious to watch and see. He was able, Bernie, to get away with anything in St. Louis. Needs 7 days between starts? Okay. And Ollie's going to sit in his office and just act like no big deal. This is normal. It gets really hot and he wants to be pulled after 5 innings because he can't handle 95 degrees and humidity. No big deal. He's the alpha male of the Cardinals pitching staff. He owned that clubhouse. He was clearly the number one. He is at spring training. He's the guy who's throwing out the first pitch. When they do the first bullpen session, he is the man. He is the guy. And now he's going to go into Boston. He's not their number one. They got a pretty solid number one there. All I can keep thinking about is the Red Sox don't exactly have a reputation for coddling people. Just ask Rafael Devers and how they screwed up that whole situation. And it gets hot in Boston too. I'm really curious what it's going to look like for him because I think there are some red flags on how it could end up playing out in Boston.
Matt, you're right. And by the way, I want to kind of join you in saying this. The stuff that I have said about Sonny Gray, even though I think he's a really good pitcher, but I was saying about it. I was saying the same things about him, this past season. More than a few times, noticing how bad he is on the road and noticing the fact his fastball is just incredibly hittable now. And just even to the point where, as I said in my video today, and thanks for mentioning, the Cardinals, Ollie Marmol and Dusty Blake, they had to set up their rotation to try to get him as many starts in Busch Stadium as possible. And that's why I always said, I'm sorry, he's not a number one. Because if you got a guy who is a true number one, a true ace, you don't finagle your rotation to the point where in 2 seasons, 2/3 of his start were at Busch Stadium. Now, what kind of number one starter you have to basically protect him from the road, and his numbers on the road 2 years in a row just awful. Just awful. So yeah, all this stuff is true, and I respect him. I'm glad he was a Cardinal. There were times he was wonderful to watch him pitch, but it's sort of like the Brendan Donovan thing. And what do I mean by that? I mean this. When you don't have a true ace, you don't have a true number one, Sonny Gray becomes overrated.
Yeah.
Because with the absence of a star pitcher, a real true number one ace type pitcher, he just he's treated as if he's better, or he's viewed as better than he is. That's kind of like Brendan Donovan. As much as we like him and as good as we think he really is, one of the reasons he's so popular is because there's no star power. The Cardinals have no real big stars, and he kind of fills that vacuum. And if the Cardinals hold on to Brendan Donovan, I'm good with that. He's a good player, but I'm just saying, One thing I won't do is just like with Sonny Gray, I'm not going to pretend that a guy is not quite something that everybody else seems to think he is. That's all.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And I also, something that I take note of, and I alluded to it a moment ago, but I'll say it more directly right now. When individuals go from being the guy to not being the guy, and if we can go back to the day that Ryan Helsley got traded, you can find the audio archive if you want. One of the things I brought up was I would be concerned in New York about Helsley because he's going from a spot where he got the light show, he got the ninth inning, he got all the stuff. He's the guy, he's the closer, he's the big moment guy. He was doing it on a team that wasn't winning enough games, but he gets that. And now he's going to go be the setup guy. Sometimes he'll pitch the eighth inning, sometimes he'll pitch the seventh inning, but the Mets have a dude who's going to cover the ninth inning, and it's not Ryan Helsley. I know that's not why Helsley had his issues, and that's not what I'm trying to say, but that was the red flag that went up for me when Helsley left. And if I'm sitting in Boston and I know the dynamics of how Sonny Gray was treated in St. Louis, where he was given basically the ace treatment inside of the organization, inside of the clubhouse, I would be concerned about him walking into that situation in Boston.
Yeah, and we noticed the way that things changed in terms of the way Ollie Marmol used Helsley, and I came to call it. It's got like a play on words. The famous book about Michael Jordan called The Jordan Rules. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden you had the Helsley rules. Oh no, we can't. No, we can't use them. No, only the ninth inning. Oh, it's only got to be a save setting, a save situation. No, we can't. We can't do that. We're going to be really rigid. We got to use them this one way and one way only. And I think Kevin Wheeler and you and myself have talked about that. You got to protect a closer and hard throwers. So we get it. I get it. But there were times where they were so strapped in terms of personnel. It's like I don't know that you can carry a guy that you can protect him and all that, and you can be judicious about how you use them. But, these firm rules, as if, it's like, well, we can't do this. We can't use them in the seventh. No, we can't use them in the eighth. And, there was a lot of criticism, I think, from fans, frankly, and they were right. It's just like, well, he doesn't pitch enough.
Yeah.
He would sit because it wasn't a safe situation. And to your point, they weren't winning enough games. He would just sit. And a lot of times when he came in after sitting for 3 or 4 days, he wasn't as sharp. So it actually worked against him to some extent. Right?
Yeah, 100%. And you that's where fear comes in because, if you use him tonight, he's not going to be as good tomorrow when the team's actually maybe winning a game. I am going to be listening to WEI or the Sports Hub in Boston that first July day where Gray goes out, pitches well, 1 run, 5 innings, 65, 70 pitches, and he takes himself out of the game because he's gassed. And Boston ends up losing the game because of the bullpen. I'll be very intrigued to hear what the reaction is going to be when that happens.
You're so right. And listen, I know the answer. Of course, the Red Sox are aware of just how awful he was on the road as a Cardinal in 2 years. Mm-hmm. Okay. But, to just sort of make fun of it, it's like, did Craig Breslow, did they go to Baseball Reference and kind of check that out a little bit before they made the trade? I don't know.
Well, his best start though did come. He had that one start in Cleveland where he went the 9 innings, the 1 hit.
He's great.
Yeah, that was.
I didn't say he was bad every start.
Right.
I mean, but he had some good.
Well,
road
that
starts,
makes the numbers so. He only pitches 1/3 of his starts on the road, so the sample size is already small. And then so a large portion of that sample size is 9 innings against Cleveland, giving up no runs and a hit, and the numbers are still what they were.
Yeah, he had in 2 years, again, he made 2/3 of his starts at Busch Stadium, and his ERA was 3.40. And he limited the power. He did a really good job. He was clearly comfortable, except when it was in the month of July. and August. But you look at his road performance in 2 seasons. We're talking about a lot of starts, and he not that many starts because it was home most of the time. But when he did pitch, man, his ERA in 2 seasons on the road was 5.07, and he was giving up nearly 2 home runs per 9 innings, and opponents were slugging 470 against him. I mean, and again, he had the occasional gem. Don't get me wrong, but as you pointed out. But I was just flabbergasted that a guy could be, so good at home and on times such a really good pitcher. But there was also a fragile aspect to him from the standpoint that I just don't understand how you can be that poor on the road, and how to the point where it's like you work with the manager and it's kind of like you come up with a plan to avoid pitching on the road. I mean, that's just weak stuff.
That's Bernie.
And again,
Miklasz.
once again, yeah. I said that while he was here.
Yeah, I think we all said some version of it. That's Bernie Miklasz. I'm Matt Pauley. We'll continue this conversation, but right now, as we continue on with Rush Hour Sports, let's get a check of traffic.
Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Well, traffic on the highways is really in pretty great shape. This traffic reports the service of Ambassadors of Harmony. We just have a little slowdown southbound 55 through Highway Z, southbound 170. Brentwood to 64, slow some Guns and Hoses traffic there. Eastbound 64, bogged down from 170 to about Big Bend, but then it opens up. Westbound 70 out in the Westplex, a little slow at 61. Northbound 170, a little heavy past Airport Road. Manchester Road is still closed, short jams each way east of Barrett Station from the crash that happened before 6 a.m. this morning. Eastbound, you'll be diverted onto Barrett Station. Westbound, you can cut through the Sam's Club parking lot. I'm Roger Brand at the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
See the 5-time international chorus champions, Ambassadors of Harmony, with the St. Louis Children's Choir and Vocal Spectrum. 4 performances only, December 12th, 13th, and 14th. Book at AOH.org or call 314-516-4949.
i3 Broadband, where in the spirit of the season you can feast on 100% fiber internet. Whether you're shopping, streaming, gaming, or gathering, you need reliable and fast internet, and that's the good stuff you can stuff yourself on when you have i3. They always mirror upload and download speeds, they have a price lock guarantee, and you get unbeatable value, support, and service. Call today, 877-976-0711. They have plans for any budget, and you're likely to pay less money for better service compared with whoever currently provides your internet. That's i3 Broadband, i3broadband.com.
Hey guys, Glover here for my friends at Cantor Injury Law. So as you know, I'm a lawyer, haven't practiced in a long time, but I did plaintiff's work and defense work, so I have a pretty good understanding of it. I have a pretty good idea of who's who in the firmament of plaintiffs, attorneys, and for my money, Mark Cantor is the guy. He's a great attorney. He is a great practitioner. He's put together a great team. He was born and raised here. He lives here. He works here. He wins here. Call 314-628-ALL-9s or CantorInjuryLaw.com. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based on advertising.
250 years ago, a promise was made to connect families and friends near and far. And during the holidays, that promise is more important than ever. That's why USPS is building a better network to meet your needs, with timely deliveries, easy and affordable ways to ship, and everything you need to make your season full of holiday cheer. Our purpose is delivering your peace of mind, knowing your love will arrive, bringing joy to all. The United States Postal Service. Learn more at USPS.com/holidays.
Join in the festivities as the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra presents Beethoven's 7th, Energy and Reverie. Sparks of energy will fly across Powell Hall in this spirited Thanksgiving weekend event featuring one of Beethoven's personal favorites, his blazing, boisterous 7th Symphony. Pianist Joyce Yang joins to give her interpretation of Rachmaninoff's Rhapsody on a theme of Paganini, November 29th and 30th. Tickets at slso.org.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell, definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. Do you feel stupid for buying a timeshare? Don't. It's not your fault. You were most likely told you could rent it, and it was a great financial investment. And the deal was available today only. If this happened to you, contact your resort or Wesley Financial Group for help today.
Call Wesley now for your free exit information kit. 800-242-3131. 800-242-3131.
Hey, I'm Mike Slater. My dad passed away at the age of 63. It's out of nowhere. Had a stroke. Super hard, obviously, for the whole family, but my dad had life insurance. This is why I have life insurance for my family, for my wife and 4 kids. And the best place to get life insurance is ethos.com, because you can do it in 10 minutes. And there's no medical exam and no blood test, just a few health questions. Get life insurance in 10 minutes so your family is protected. Ethos, ETHOS, ethos.com/life.
This is Rush Hour Sports on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Love to eat turkey, 'cause it's good. Love to eat turkey like a good boy should, 'cause it's turkey to eat. So good.
The Thanksgiving Eve edition of Rush Hour Sports right here on KMOX. Alongside of Bernie Miklasz, I'm Matt Pauley. Thanks so much for being with us today. Bernie, I was glad to have you on today because there were so many things from yesterday's trade that I kind of wanted to go through with you. And
Sure.
I thought the fact that the Cardinals were willing to eat $20 million in part to get a better return and in part just to grease the wheels on actually getting a deal done. The Cardinals are not, I think sometimes they get a bad rap for never eating money. They have eaten some in the past, but it's something they've been somewhat averse to. And eating $20 million as a way to get more talent in the organization, I think is a notable part of yesterday's trade.
Yeah, I mean, I strongly believe, and I have a good source on this, that, they obviously, I mean, Chaim Bloom and his people that studied the offer and studied all the offers, they really wanted Brandon Clark. And I think to get him, I think they had to reach down and come up with more money just to get a better return. And listen, there are no guarantees that Brandon Clark is going to become who they hope he's going to become, that because especially with pitchers that throw 100 miles an hour, you just don't know. But you have to have faith that you can get him through the minor leagues and work on him and work with him to improve certain things. But this guy's potential is unlimited. Mm-hmm. And, I hate to be such a snotty guy all the time, but it's like, this is what you do when you're rebuilding. Like, I just love the criticism. It's like, this is a salary dump. Well, they're just trying. Well, that's what you do in a rebuild if you have a 36-year-old starting pitcher whose contract is over at the end of this year, which means he's not going to be pitching for a contending team in St. Louis. So, yeah, it's okay to offload his salary. That is called rebuilding. And then what you do, you load up in as much pitching as you can because they neglected that area for so long. I love the fact that Bloom seems to be stockpiling as much pitching as he can get. When you look at some of the arms they've added over the last 2 years, it's pretty impressive. And a lot of them are hard-throwing guys. So, yeah, I don't understand the criticism of that part of it. It's incomprehensible to me that there is criticism. So I think it's going to take a long time for all Cardinal Nation to kind of figure out what a rebuild is.
There's a guy on social media who covers Cardinals prospects at Kareem SSN. And
he's great.
He's really good. He's really good. And he showed a video of Clark's sweeper yesterday, which is nasty, and said you can make a strong case that this is the best pitch in the entire Cardinals organization. This is the sweeper from Clark.
I've been doing so much research on this. And for example, I know at the end of the season, if you look at his entire record at A-ball, it's not impressive because there's some numbers that are really bad. And well, first of all, we know that he had a problem. No wonder. I mean, a kid throwing 100 miles an hour, and he's got, his stuff is so volatile. It's so nasty, like the slider and this couple other pitches. Sometimes he doesn't know where it's going because it's just moving so much, right? But reading some of the mild criticism of it, they're saying, "Oh, look at his ERA, look at that walk rate." Yeah, he's a 22-year-old kid in his first season of pro ball. But if you look at his first, I forget how many. I can find it here, and I apologize. I'm being really dense tonight, and I apologize to you. No, if you look at what he did up to a certain point, like he got off to an incredible start and they couldn't hit him. They couldn't hit him in low A or high A. But then he developed that blister problem, and it was a really bad blister problem. And he also kept ripping one nail off where he gripped the ball. And so his control just completely fell apart, and he just wasn't that good after that. But there is a specific reason why his performance tailed off, right?
Yeah.
You try throwing 100, and you try controlling a slider or in a sweeper that's just crazy for the movement. You try doing that when you got a bad blister and you've got a broken nail that won't heal and you can't grip the ball. There's a reason why his performance tailed off.
Alongside of Bernie Miklasz, I'm Matt Pauley. It's Rush Hour Sports. We're back after the news coming up right here on KMOX.
At 5:31, the news is sponsored by Michael's Flooring Outlet, the flooring experts, michaelsflooringoutlet.com.
CBS News special report. 2 National Guards members are in critical condition after being shot near the White House. No clear motive released, but D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser says
this is a targeted shooting. One individual who appeared to target these guardsmen, that individual has been taken into custody.
CBS's Chanel Cole adds,
it is just 2 blocks north of the White House, so obviously a huge security concern here. Also want to note that we heard that 10 to 15 shots rang out, and 2 law enforcement officials that spoke to CBS News call this an ambush-style attack.
Vice President J.D. Vance speaking before troops at Fort Campbell, Kentucky.
I think it's a somber reminder that soldiers, whether they're active duty, reserve, or National Guard, our soldiers are the sword and the shield of the United States of America.
CBS News special report. I'm Heather Bosch.
The Reverend Larry Rice is calling on St. Louis County to use its share of the Ram settlement money to fund emergency aid for the homeless this winter instead of spending it on the animal shelter. Rice's $600,000 proposal includes $500,000 for hotel vouchers. He warns the county council that failing to act will have dangerous consequences.
The alternative is to leave people out there to experience hypothermia, unnecessary suffering, the loss of limbs due to frostbite.
Rice says so far no county council member has committed to sponsoring legislation. As many hit the highways or head to the airport for the Thanksgiving holiday, folks in the Midwest now have to worry about the weather.
The first major snowfall of the season has Minnesotans digging out, with the wind making it even worse for people traveling this holiday season. MnDOT spokesperson Ann Meyer on some of the problem areas.
Ramps, bridges, overpasses, we've got a lot of those in the Twin Cities metro area. So even though the main line might get better faster, keep in mind you want to slow down well in advance of getting off the highway because that ramp's going to be slicker. If you're going over an elevated area of highway, that's going to have a colder road temp, so you might just catch a little bit of that slick spot.
Susie Jones for CBS News, Minneapolis.
Possibility of snow this weekend. It's the season for holiday parties, and that may mean you're drinking a few more alcoholic beverages than normal.
Alcohol is a toxin, so it's going to have some negative impacts depending on the amount. Michelle Wilson is a registered dietitian with Brands Nutrition. She says it can impact our liver and GI system and can reduce nutrition absorption. Thiamine or B1, B12, folic acid, and zinc. And also whenever we are throwing up or having diarrhea, we're losing a lot of fluid, and alcohol's already dehydrating because your body's trying to get rid of toxins and it needs to use a lot of fluid to do that. Alcohol also has a lot of calories, but Wilson warns against cutting out the food your body needs to compensate. Megan Lynch, KMOX News.
From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk for tonight, windy again, low 29. For tomorrow, sunshine, high 42. 25 tomorrow night, 39 for Friday. And a light mix of rain and wet snow with hamster-sized snowflakes possible for Friday night into Saturday. Friday night, 32. Saturday, 39. Right now, downtown, it's 40. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
For 100 years, KMOX has been part of St. Louis. Now, Together Credit Union is helping celebrate that legacy. Starting in November, visit any Together Credit Union branch to pick up a KMOX 100th anniversary commemorative ornament for just $5 while supplies last. Each ornament supports Children's Miracle Network of Greater St. Louis. Together Credit Union, honoring 100 years of KMOX, the voice of St. Louis, and Children's Miracle Network of Greater St. Louis, improving the health of all children.
Hey, Bernie Miklasz here for Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin Comfort dealer. This is a family-owned business, very proud with the highest standards. The Saliga family has owned this business within the family for nearly 100 years. Now, what do you say to that if you're trying to figure out who to call for your heating and cooling needs and some other things inside the home, like air quality, for example? Well, the Saliga family's been taking care of generations of St. Louisans since 1927, including the Miklas's. And I can vouch for them across the board: integrity, honesty, 100%, the professionalism, the knowledge, 100%. When they come in your home, are they classy? 100%. And the one thing they've never done in 18 years of us calling them for help is to try to talk us into something we don't need, to try to convince us we need to have this more expensive repair done. They do it the other way at Saliga. What they do is look for the least expensive solution to help you first. They're never going to try to upsell or hustle you. And so you can count on them, and you can trust them, and that they know what they are doing. That's why Saliga Heating and Cooling is the best. So if you want to find out more about all they have to offer, just go to SaligaHeatingandCooling.com.
Swapping out your tires? There's nothing like it. With eBay, you can find the feel you're looking for, from smooth highway rides to grip for rough terrain. Get all the tires you need at prices you'll love. eBay. Things people love.
Overhead Door Company of St. Louis, the genuine, the original, present 100 years of KMOX.
Keep St. Louis, Budweiser Town, stockholders, don't sell out.
There, when headlines hit home.
Speculation started early. AB wouldn't buy InBev's offer of $65 a share.
We believe this is an exciting opportunity and a winning combination for multiple reasons.
Rito calls the buyout attempt the next natural step in a relationship with Anheuser-Busch.
It sucks. Blue-collar workers worried about an upcoming contract in March.
I think the deal is going to go through, but I think that it does add an element of risk.
It's a great day. We've worked very hard to get here. Now, of course, we have to focus on delivering.
There for every headline, every heartbreak, every heartbeat. KMOX, the voice of St. Louis. Brought to you by Together Credit Union. Achieve more with competitive rates on savings and lending. Visit togethercu.org.
Hey there, it's Steven, the owner of the Photo Pros, formerly Creve Coeur Camera. Each day, people bring us their family history, single photos in need of restoration, piles of photos wanting them to be scanned, boxes of slides, albums, videotapes, DVDs, and even old home movies. We take them and digitize them, or what we call scan them at high resolution, and place them on a USB thumb drive. Plus, many people want additional copies for the rest of the family. Yes, we'll make you copies. Here's the best part. You don't have to send them out of St. Louis and have a chance of losing them. If needed, we can fix or restore the entire image or images. We are slightly higher priced than the internet, but our quality is top notch. Remember the Photo Pros, formerly Creve Coeur Camera. Come visit Mark, Derek, Daryl, Tony, and me, Steven, at our store. You can reach us at 314-567-3456 or Google the Photo Pros or even Creve Coeur Camera.
You've got your whole life ahead of you, so choose a Medicare plan you can count on. And that's what you get with a Medicare Advantage plan from United Healthcare. With more than 45 years' experience serving its members, United Healthcare has plans with low monthly premiums that fit your life today and as your needs change tomorrow. The Medicare annual enrollment period ends December 7th, so go to uhc.com/Medicare today. United Healthcare Medicare plans. It's Medicare coverage Missouri can count on.
At Cardinal Glennon Children's Hospital, every moment with our patients is a gift. Thanks to supporters like you, children have hope as they fight serious illness and reach incredible milestones. Please donate today at treeofhope.org.
Traffic from the michaelsflooringoutlet.com traffic center.
Well, traffic's doing great out there. This traffic reports a service of the Woodlands of Arnold Senior Living. We just have some slow traffic, guns and hoses traffic, I'm sure. Eastbound 64, 170 into Obat Big Bend, it's kind of slow, but into downtown, even the exits, I don't see any backups getting off the highway there. Westbound 64, just a little bit of a backup approaching Prospect. It looks like we have a crash right at Highway 70, so there's a jam at Prospect. I'm sure that's going to get worse. Westbound 70 is a little slow, approaching 370. Other than that, the highways look great. We still have the restrictions, however. Manchester Road remains closed east of Barrett Station from this morning's crash. Eastbound Manchester gets diverted onto southbound Barrett Station. Westbound Manchester drivers can just cut through the Sam's Club parking lot. I'm Roger Brand at the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
The Woodlands of Arnold campus offers skilled rehab, a beautiful assisted living community, and a secure memory care to keep your loved ones safe. Check us out at rspseniorliving.com. That's rspseniorliving.com.
This is Congressman Bob Onder. For 43 days, the left kept the government closed, holding the American people hostage and demanding radical policy changes, including free health care for illegal immigrants. However, thanks to strong Republican leadership, the Senate voted to reopen the government and put America first. I'm thrilled to return to Washington so I can continue to vote to help Missourians, to secure our nation's borders, and to cut wasteful spending. Visit onder.house.gov to find the office closest to you.
Paid for by official funds authorized by the House of Representatives.
A KFC tale in the pursuit of flavor. The holidays were tricky for the Colonel. He loved people, but he also loved peace and quiet. So he cooked up KFC's $4.99 chicken pot pie. Warm, flaky, with savory sauce and vegetables. It's a tender chicken-filled excuse to get some time to yourself and step away from decking the halls, whatever that means. The Colonel lived so we could chicken. KFC's Chicken Pot Pie. The best $4.99 you'll spend this season.
Prices and participation may vary while supplies last. Taxes, tips, and fees extra.
Selling your home, it's one of the biggest financial decisions you'll ever make. You could go it alone, trying to navigate market trends, determine fair pricing, and tackle tricky negotiations on your own. You could second-guess every decision, wondering if you're doing it right. Then there's the showings, the offers, and the mountain of paperwork. Or you could work with the expertise of a Realtor, here to guide and help protect as you make your next big move. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors. Right by you.
Rush Hour Sports continues on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Alongside of Bernie Miklasz, I'm Matt Pauley. It is our Thanksgiving Eve edition of Rush Hour Sports. Welcome back into the program. Bernie, we've got a little bit of breaking news. It is being reported that Dylan Cease is signing with the Toronto Blue Jays. A guy who's not going to pitch you more than 5 innings most night gets 7 years, $210 million, annual average value, $30 million. That is the cost of pitching.
Absolutely. And you know who's really, well, he's very, very happy. But you know who also is happy tonight? Framber Valdez, Ranger Suarez, Michael King, right on down the line. I mean, this just raises the level it's going to take to get one of the top 6 or 7 starters on the free agent market. And I was looking at some crowdsourcing predictions about what he would get. And I went to Fangraphs. You know, the basic prediction he would get about 5 years, $130 million. Well, I think he got a lot more than that. So, and it's interesting because by his standards, he didn't even have all that great of a year last year.
No, he didn't. And let's bring this back to the Cardinals. This is why it is so incredibly important for this organization to start producing high-end pitching out of their system, because it is so flippin' expensive to go out and sign impact pitching. A guy goes 5 innings, goes for $30 million a year. And it sounds like I'm putting him down. I am a little bit because he doesn't give you length, but he's still a really good pitcher. So that's why, look, this Clark kid may work. He may not work. All those guys they drafted that have swing and miss stuff, outside of Doyle, I think Liam Doyle's like the can't miss guy. But then when you look at the profile of pitchers they brought in later rounds, it was a bunch of guys who have swing and miss stuff. It's got to be a bulk game here, Bernie. You got to bring in as many guys as possible with that skill set and hope that you hit on just a few of them.
And they've also, listen, they've brought in a lot of pitching talent. They've drafted, brought along guys that aren't necessarily power arms. If they think a guy knows how to pitch and he's got a great pitch arsenal, they've grabbed a lot of those guys too. But I tell you what, the last couple of years, even go back to when John Mozeliak in 2023, acquiring a guy like Tekoa Roby, for example, and he's got the Tommy John thing now, but he's a legit guy. The Cardinals have been stockpiling these kind of arms. And you're right. You need to have volume. You need to have quantity. And I don't know what I would figure that'd be pretty easy to understand with the price of starting pitching. And they have not been growing their own starting pitching for a long time. They let that area neglect. And that's why they were chasing people all the time to try to fill out a rotation. And that's why Bill DeWitt, who you go way back when to the Jeff Luhnow days, you said that, like, his edict was like, we have got to draft and develop starting pitching in particular. And I think the Dylan Cease thing is just a late example of why that's mandatory for the Cardinals. And I tell you another thing about Dylan Cease that's related to the Cardinals, and you're going to say, well, what the heck would that be? Well, he was one of those prospects who was in the low minors when the Chicago Cubs were willing to give him up to get it was in the Jose Quintana trade.
Yeah,
like Dylan Cease was a guy that so they gave him to the White Sox as part of that Quintana trade. I'm sorry. So listen, these highly regarded prospects, there's a failure rate. There's no doubt about it. But there's also guys they turn into a jackpot for you. So Dylan Cease represents that thing too. You just never know.
Yeah. But
right?
I keep saying, I will repeat this 9 million times over the next 2 years, probably, because the Cardinals teams do not get rid of their can't miss prospects. It just does not happen. The Juan Soto trade is a once in a generation type trade. The level of prospects that went back in the Soto deal just does not happen. Teams do not part with their top prospects. So when you're doing this, and this is where I have so much faith in Chaim Bloom, because he's got such a good history of identifying pitching and having success with pitching, you have to go get these guys who are possible miss guys, but who you feel like you've got the infrastructure in place to be able to develop.
He brought that Tampa Bay model, which, by the way, he and a lot of his lieutenants have really updated. I mean, that thing's not the same model. No. They have taken it to a more advanced level. They really know what they're doing with pitching. And that's why I also have confidence in Chaim Bloom. And I know people think we're being too nice to him. I'm not sure why. I'm unaware of him screwing up anything, and what he's done with the minor leagues and the player development and all the staffing and all the smart people he's brought in, and he's gotten them up to speed. I would say you're off to a really good start in the job. And I like his first trade. But, if you go through baseball history, I mean, John Smoltz was an unknown prospect when the Braves got him. There was a guy named Wainwright. I think we're familiar with him. Was a Double-A pitcher in Atlanta. Cease was one of those guys. Cliff Lee was a prospect traded. Zach Gallen was a Cardinals prospect who was traded away. Sandy Alcantara, sorry. I put together a list, and I won't go through it. We don't have time, and nobody wants to hear me read names. But there have been a lot of starting pitchers who started out as nobodies, or they just were sort of like a promising guy at the Double-A level, and they became stars. And you have to take your shot at those guys because, like you just said, man, there's no such thing as a sure thing. So you have to trust your instincts and your research and your analytics and everything else, and you have to take your shot at getting one of those guys. If one of those guys is available in a trade like Chaim Bloom just made.
With Bernie Miklasz, I'm Matt Pauley. One more break. We'll come back and we'll wrap things up on this edition of Rush Hour Sports right here on KMOX.
If you're one of the millions of Americans behind on your taxes, if you're afraid to open your mail because IRS collection letters could be coming, listen carefully. The IRS is cracking down, taking paychecks, freezing bank accounts, revoking passports. That's a fact. But here's what most people don't know. There are official tax relief programs designed to help struggling taxpayers. Programs that could save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief. Optima's award-winning team will fight to protect your paycheck, your passport, and your property. Their tax attorneys and licensed tax professionals will work tirelessly to get you the best deal possible with the IRS. Every day, penalties and interest keep piling up, so don't wait. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-473-9933. 800-473-9933. 800-473-9933.
Optima Tax Relief. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Thank you, St. Louis, for making Genesis of St. Charles the #1 Genesis dealer in Missouri for 2025. We know your time is valuable. That's why every purchase comes with 3 years of complimentary Genesis service valet. Unlock your e-price and save. That means complimentary vehicle pickup and delivery, plus a loaner vehicle at no additional cost. Or want something new? We'll bring the test drive to you. Visit genesisofstcharles.com during the Genesis Signature Event. Based on GMA sales records for 2024. See dealer for details.
Welcome to Coffee House. How are you today?
Hi, great, thanks. May I get a sea salt caramel latte with almond milk, extra caramel, extra shot, iced,
Gross.
and to go, please. Did you get all that?
No, I was just ringing you up for all the extras. Can you repeat your order, please?
Oh, never mind. I'm just gonna go.
Stop paying extra for extras. Get fancy coffee without the fancy coffee price at Quick Trip. Raise your coffee bar.
Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Well, traffic looks great on the highways. In fact, that crash we had westbound 64 right at 70 has been cleared. Everything's thinned out there. The traffic going to Guns and Hoses. We had some slow traffic eastbound 64 at the Interbelt. That's thinned out as well. We still have Manchester Road shut down east of Barrett Station. They say it may be 10 or 11 tonight till it reopens. Eastbound Manchester being diverted southbound on the Barrett Station to Doherty Ferry. Westbound Manchester, you can just cut through the Sam's Club parking lot, so there's no westbound delay and a very short backup on the eastbound side, thankfully. I'm Roger Brand at the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
This is Rush Hour Sports on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Santa stole Thanksgiving for Christmas.
Just a couple minutes left on this edition of Rush Hour Sports here on KMOX, but don't go anywhere. Sports Open Line is going to be rolling your way this evening, 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock. We've got a lot to do on the program tonight. We'll continue to talk Cardinals. We'll get into a few other things as well as we go through the evening here on the day before Thanksgiving. Bernie, how do you and yours do Thanksgiving? Is it a big meal, small meal, stay at home? What's it look like?
Oh, it's a lot of food, I can assure you that, but it is an intimate gathering. You know, my family lives in the East Coast. My brother and his wife, they spend time over at his wife's family. They get together. So there's no one coming from the East Coast to St. Louis. And my wife has a small family. It's just her mother and sister and brother-in-law and nephew. So we always, that's pretty much who it is every year. And it's a cozy gathering. It's a small, low-key gathering, but we really enjoy it, and it's a wonderful time. And the food is always great because you have three women in the kitchen. I don't do anything. Yeah, I don't mean to turn this into a gender thing, but I'm useless. Her brother-in-law's useless. So yeah, they do the women in the family do their thing, and we get all the spoils. So it's a great day that way.
Only a minute or so left, but the three NFL games. I think especially the first two, that Packers-Lions game and the game people hear on KMOX, Chiefs-Cowboys, those look like pretty good games on paper.
Yeah, the Packers, I don't trust them yet, and we know that the Lions are hurting. So I'm not sure what's going to happen there, but I think the Chiefs and the Cowboys will be good. And I think the Chiefs, maybe that dramatic victory last week will catapult them. We keep waiting for them to win 2-3 in a row. You got to beat the Cowboys. You just have to.
Cowboys had a dramatic victory themselves.
They did.
Yeah.
That's because the Eagles, for some reason, decided they don't need to run Saquon Barkley anymore. They don't. We don't need to give him the ball. So they've just been screwing up by not feeding him the ball. And that's one of the reasons why they lost that game.
Well, Bernie, it is the tradition of Thanksgiving. We tell people what we are thankful for, and I really mean this, that these past few months, as you've joined KMOX again, I've gotten to get to know you and become friends with you and colleagues with you. I can't tell you how thankful I am that the sports columnist I read growing up has become somebody that I host shows with. So that's one of the top things on my list that I'm thankful for this year.
I've said this a lot. I'll say it again. I am so grateful to everyone at KMOX, but as a bonus, I get a chance to work with you and get to know you. You're a wonderful guy. You're very outstanding at your job. And I got a chance to get reunited with Kevin Wheeler and Tom Ackerman. So I'm very, very, very happy to be part of the KMOX family, and you're a big reason for that.
That's awesome. Bernie, enjoy Thanksgiving. I believe we'll talk again coming up on Friday.
Yes, absolutely. You take care, man.
All right, very good. That is Bernie Miklasz. I'm Matt Pauley, wrapping things up on this edition of Rush Hour Sports. Don't go anywhere. Here's a rundown of what's coming up on Sports Open Line tonight. We're going to talk Cardinals baseball and prospects with our friend Kyle Reese. Matthew Rocchio is going to be on. We'll talk a little Billikens basketball and City SC with him. And then also an interesting report about fandom of sports fans in Missouri. We're going to go through that. It's all coming up on Sports Open Line next on KMOX.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. Ever wonder why Big Wireless wants you on an unlimited plan? They probably want you to cover the cost of those 20-somethings using all that data every month. But most people 50 and up like me only use 12 gigs or less. Don't get bamboozled by Big Wireless. Switch to Consumer Cellular. Our plans start at just $20, and we use the same towers as the big guys. Join the millions who choose something better, because if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com/facts or a store near you. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Are you tired of online threats? Then get an antivirus. It's the only online protection you will ever need.
Disclaimer, an antivirus is just half protection online. It will not protect you from snoopers or encrypt your online traffic. So this Black Friday, get better online protection with NordVPN. NordVPN will encrypt your traffic, protect you from malware and phishing, and stop annoying ads. Get the NordVPN Black Friday deal with 73% off and enjoy 3 extra months.
This is Justin Brown with Krenz Financial Group. For over 6 decades, we've helped St. Louis families and businesses plan with purpose and live with confidence. Is your financial advisor proactive or reactive? If your strategy or service feels stagnant or misaligned, it may be time for a change. Our defined, proactive approach to investments and communication keeps you informed and prepared for what's ahead. Let's talk about what makes us different and how a more engaged advisor can help you reach your goals. Your goals, our mission. Start today at kfgadvisors.com.
Securities offered through Raymond James Financial Servicing. Member FINRA/SIPC. Krenz Financial Group is not a broker-dealer.
Red Kingdom is back at FanDuel Sports Network Live in Ballpark Village. See every game on the largest screen in town. Don't forget about the $25 buckets, $5 cocktails, and the best tailgate food around. Grab your friends along with KMOX and huddle up for the games at the best watch party in town. If you can't make it, but don't want to miss a down, listen to the Chiefs on KMOX or KMOX on the Odyssey app. For more info, KMOX.com/events.
If you or anyone you care about is facing a family legal matter, call Cordell & Cordell today at 1-855-GET-LEGAL.
There's a lot on the line in divorce. This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell, the largest family law firm in the country, with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. But being big doesn't mean less personal or less local. Our attorneys live and work in your community, and as neighbors, they understand the challenges your families face. Divorce touches all areas of your life: your home, savings, retirement, and of course, kids. So when you find yourself facing divorce, you need a partner you can count on.
If you or anyone you care about is facing divorce, contact Cordell & Cordell today. With over 100,000 clients served, we understand the challenges you're facing on a personal level. Call Cordell & Cordell today at 1-855-GET-LEGAL. That's 1-855-GET-LEGAL. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. 600 Kelwood, St. Louis.
Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Well, you don't have any concerns on the interstates. If you're heading in for Guns and Hoses, we had some slow going through the Interbelt earlier. It's thinned out, and the downtown exits don't look bad. I guess the westbound exit to 9th Street downtown at the ballpark is about the biggest backup I see, and there's a little slowdown at the west end of the Poplar Street Bridge, but it's really very minimal. Otherwise, like I said, interstates are on track for you. Now, we still have the restrictions on Manchester Road. You know, this crash happened this morning before 6 a.m. A car crashed into 3 other vehicles and snapped a power pole in 2, one of the major power transmission lines that go across Manchester there, east of Barrett Station. And Manchester is still closed at last check. At least the westbound side is. Looks like they may have opened up eastbound. So westbound, Manchester, you just divert into the Sam's Club parking lot, so it's not too difficult. The eastbound, when it was shut down, if it still is restricted, you have to go south on Barrett Station to Doherty Ferry and then go east from there over to 270. I'm Roger Brand at the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Celebrating 100 years of informing and entertaining. KMOX AM St. Louis. KMOX FM Hazelwood. The voice of St. Louis.
National Guardsman shot in D.C.
I heard help, help in the direction of the shooting.
A win for the president.
The case has been dismissed.
Deadly fire in huge Hong Kong apartment building.
All 8 towers were ablaze.
This is the CBS World News Roundup, late edition. I'm Christopher Cruz. 2 National Guardsmen have been ambushed and shot blocks away from the White House. Mayor Muriel Bowser.
This is a targeted shooting. One individual who appeared to target these guardsmen, that individual has been taken into custody.
This man was on the scene.
They had one person pinned down and yelling at him to stay down, and then there were 2 National Guards on the ground. One, it looked like they were trying to resuscitate, and then there were a couple of National Guard that were hugging each other that were obviously very upset about what had happened.
Initial reports said the 2 guardsmen from West Virginia were dead, but now officials are not discussing their condition. A judge today, at the request of the prosecutor, dismissed the Georgia election interference case against President Trump and others. The prosecutor said he wouldn't pursue the charges. CBS's Jared Eggleston.
The judge overseeing the case issued a dismissal today after a new prosecutor, Peter Skandalakis, moved to end it. He argued the actions listed in the indictment didn't rise to the level of a state racketeering crime. He noted that federal court would have been the only appropriate venue for these claims, but with those federal cases now also gone, he moved to dismiss the case to, quote, serve the interests of justice.
The dismissal ends the last effort to punish the president in the courts for his efforts to overturn his 2020 election loss. At least 44 people are confirmed dead and 279 are missing in a horrific fire in a complex of high-rise apartment buildings in Hong Kong. The fire is still burning in 7 of the 8 buildings. The BBC's Rachel Wright.
Hong Kong's chief executive John Lee gave a news conference from the Prince of Wales Hospital where he was visiting victims. He said the priority was to put out the blaze and rescue those still trapped inside. He also said a task force would investigate whether the buildings and the scaffolding used in renovation work were up to standard.
Several local media outlets report police have arrested 3 men on suspicion of manslaughter. More than 70 million people are expected to take to the roads before Thanksgiving. If they're driving in the upper Midwest, they could encounter heavy snow and even blizzard conditions in some areas. Janos Fodor was driving through Macon, Georgia.
Just be vigilant on the road, especially when it's raining. We just saw a crash happen right next to us from rubbernecking. So from another crash.
The Dow closed up almost 0.75%. Same for the S&P 500. Now this.
Sponsored by Progressive. See why over 43 million drivers trust Progressive to stay protected on the road. See for yourself at Progressive.com.
At 6:03, a clear sky. Right now, 39 degrees downtown at the Arch. The Missouri State Highway Patrol is gearing up for one of the busiest travel weekends of the year, and with it, a rise in impaired driving. Lieutenant Eric Brown says to keep the roads safe, extra troopers will be out for the travel period.
Wednesday before Thanksgiving is actually one of the busiest bar nights of the year. We have a lot of extra vehicles on the road. People are going to be using substances that impair their ability to drive and going to be on those roadways. So we focus a lot of our efforts in those nighttime hours when that occurs the most.
Guns and Hoses, the Backstoppers' largest annual fundraiser, is tonight at Enterprise Center. $1 million has been raised each year for the last 4 years. The money helps to support the families of fallen first responders. KEZK's Julie Tristan will be the ringside reporter on Fox 2.
A lot of the fighters that I interviewed before, they said that it's nice to know that, they have kids and that if something happens to them, that their kids are supported. So Backstoppers is so important. And the first responders are there. If something happens, what are you going to do? You're going to call 911, and the first responders are going to come help you. So this is the least we can do to give back and try to help them and help their families if something should happen to them.
Former mayor of St. Louis, Jim Conway, passed away Tuesday. He served the city for 1 term, but his political career was long.
Mayor Conway, a Democrat, served from 1977 to 81, but his son, former St. Louis Alderman Steve Conway, says his dad was a state representative in 1966 and in 74 was elected to the state Senate.
Main things that he had done was actually do what they call the circuit breaker bill, and which was the first property tax type of credit for the elderly and the disabled.
Mayor Conway also sponsored the bill creating the Land Reutilization Authority in the city of St. Louis, and in the early 70s, Mayor Conway co-sponsored legislation that developed a zoo museum district to finance those institutions with property taxes. And Mr. Conway passed an amendment the zoo would be admission free to everyone. Maria Aquina, KMOX News.
this case could actually redefine how tickets are purchased in this country.
Taylor Swift fans have accused Live Nation and Ticketmaster of mishandling ticket sales. A judge says their suit can move ahead when the two combined. It created a monopoly controlling 80% of live tours in this country.
In this country, monopolies are disfavored because it reduces service and it increases prices. And that's what we've seen on this Eras tour, is that it was hard to get tickets, and when you did, there were lots of hidden fees.
KMOX legal analyst Brad Young says the case could take years because of the amount of evidence that needs to be brought to court. For an antitrust case, that could be enormous. Sports gambling is coming to Missouri in less than a week. However, a certain form of betting has already been legal in the Show Me state.
The growing prediction market industry has been able to circumvent Missouri's expiring ban on sports gambling while regulators fight them in the courts. Ryan Butler with Covers.com says websites like Kalshi go under the radar of regulators because their bets are treated like stock trading between two people on either side of a bet.
Kind of regulated and act like stocks. That is what these prediction markets have argued in the courts to varying degrees of success. It has been ongoing legal battle.
Butler says the sports books soon coming to Missouri are able to offer more bets and better protections for gamblers than prediction markets do. Sean Malone, KMOX News.
And before we get you to the holiday, let's get you to Roger Brand.
Well, the highways have wrapped up in great shape, Michael. There really are no delays on the interstates right now. The only issue we have is Manchester Road east of Barrett Station. It looks like they've reopened eastbound Manchester there, but westbound remains closed. We had a serious crash that happened on the westbound side of Manchester this morning before 6 a.m., so it's been closed for more than 12 hours. Like I said, it looks like eastbound is open now, but if not, the detour is still southbound Barrett Station to Doherty Ferry, but westbound Manchester remains closed there. They guesstimate it could be till 10 or 11 this evening. There's also signal problems there. The westbound traffic just diverts into the Sam's Club parking lot to get around that closure, so it's just a little slowdown. It's not really backed up per se, but like I said, the rest of the roadways looks like you're good to go. I'm Roger Brand in the Michael's Flooring Outlet.com Traffic Center.
Well, no question, a winter chill has settled in over the St. Louis area. Nothing extreme, but we know what direction we're headed with the seasons. I think it stays kind of windy through the evening, then the winds will calm down. Partly cloudy skies. Temperatures drop out of the 40s into the upper 30s this evening, and a cold 29 for the overnight low. On Thursday, Thanksgiving Day, plenty of sunshine, still a little breezy. It's a cold day, 42 for the high, below average temperatures anyway. Thursday night, clear and cold down to 25. Friday, partly sunny and cold, 39. And we're still on track for some sloppy winter weather coming in here late Friday night. It's going to be after midnight. I think the evening is fine, and it will be wet snow and rain. It could even hold off until first thing in the morning on Saturday. Borderline temperatures, 32. Saturday, a mix of snow and rain. Best chance for snow in the morning on Saturday, including some hamster-sized snowflakes. And we could see a little bit of an accumulation, especially on grassy surfaces and parked cars, trees, things like that. The ground temperatures are still warm, and certainly road temperatures will be above freezing, and temperatures will be above freezing, the high 39 degrees. On Sunday, mostly cloudy and cold, 32. Very cold weather settling in here Monday and Tuesday, with some snow flurries around from time to time. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Dave Murray on 104.1 FM. KMOX.
Clear sky, 39 degrees. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Come on, let's get going now.
From KMOX Sports.
We're primed and ready. All day, baby. Man, let's go.
This is the Gray Bar Sports Open Line. Gray Bar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs. On 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Here we go. Welcome in. It is a Wednesday that feels like a Friday edition of Sports Open Line right here on KMOX. My name is Matt Pauley. Have you until 8 o'clock this evening. This is a weird day. When the Dave Glover show came on the air this afternoon, I was listening to him, and Dave said, I don't know what we're doing here today. And I don't feel exactly the same way because I know what I'm doing. I'm here to host a sports show here for a couple hours. But it is always weird doing the night show on the day before a holiday where everybody is into holiday mode. And you know what? We got a couple more hours of work to do. That is absolutely fine. Glad to be here. But it's going to be kind of a loose, kind of fun show today. I'll tell you this right off the bat. So I promised something yesterday. I'm going to give it to you today. It's a holiday. I don't know how many people are going to really want to interact with us, but in our second segment, so coming up in about 10 minutes, I am going to have the phone lines open. Yesterday, as we were breaking down all aspects of this Sonny Gray trade, I didn't get to open up the phones and the text messages and all that quite as much as I would have liked to, and I wanted to give you the opportunity to chime in on how you feel about the Cardinals trading Sonny Gray and also what they got back from him. I promised you yesterday that we would get into that, and we will give you that opportunity coming up in our next segment. So if you want to chime in, that's going to be the opportunity to do so. You'll be able to call. You can text in now. We can hold those text messages, but you'll be able to call in our next segment, 314-436-7900, 314-436-7900. That's how you call. That's how you text. Tweet at me, at Matt Pauley on air, MattPauley on air. Or you can leave a message or a comment, I should say, on the video chat for those of you who are watching on Facebook and on Twitter and on YouTube. Here's our guest list for the show today. In about 25 minutes, in our third segment this hour, we're going to talk with Kyle Reese. He does a lot of different things. He does a great job covering Cardinals prospects, and we always like being able to talk to him. Matthew Rocchio does some stuff with us here at KMOX, part of the team over at STL Sports Central, covering Billikens, covering City. He is going to join us at 7:20 next hour. And then James Basone, who is the editor-in-chief of Covers.com, which is a website that covers sports gambling news. He's going to join us at 7:35, and not just to talk sports gambling, but they did an interesting study, and in that study, they kind of reflected upon the habits and the amount of fandom for the different teams and programs in the state of Missouri. And there were some interesting findings and all of that. So we will get into that as we do continue on. The Blues, by the way, are in action. We'll keep you updated on that as we go along. They're matched up against the New Jersey Devils. It is the final game of a 5-game road trip, and they've gotten off to a good start as they're out to a 1-0 lead in that game. Again, we'll keep you updated on that as we go along. I guess if they were to win tonight against the Devils, if you squint a little bit, you can say it was a respectable road trip because so far they have gotten points in 3 of the 4 games. So if they win tonight, they would have gotten points in 4 of the 5. That's kind of a stretch, especially when 2 of those games were overtime losses where they had leads, yada, yada, yada. But a win is a win, and we'll see if they can hold on to it. That's been the problem with them. They get out to these early leads, and then they don't hold on. But just about 2 minutes into the game, Blues are up to a 1-0 lead here tonight. We'll talk a lot of baseball. Again, the news of the day from a national standpoint, Dylan Cease got a big deal from the Toronto Blue Jays. Blue Jays coming off a World Series appearance. They got him for 7 years and $30 million per. So that goes to show you, take note of that. Take note of the cost of pitching and why you have haves and have-nots in baseball and why the have-nots have to be creative in the way that they do things and why the have-nots also have to find a way to draft, develop, find a way to produce some high-end pitching, because there's only a handful of teams in baseball that are handing out 7-year, $210 million contracts, especially, and I think Dylan Cease is a good pitcher, don't get me wrong, but Dylan Cease gives you 5 innings. He's a 5-inning guy. So you're a guy who is very good, but very good for a short amount of time is costing you $30 million per year. That's the cost of pitching today. And I think when you consider that and you think about how much money Sonny Gray is going to make this year, because Gray, we talked about this a little bit yesterday. There were so many things with the Gray trade that we didn't touch on everything, but they reworked the contract a bit where essentially the 1 year plus option turned into 1 year mutual option, and a mutual option isn't really a thing. It's going to be declined by one of the two sides. So it really just turned into a 1 year deal where he's making $41 million. He was originally on the hook for $35 this year, plus a $5 million opt-out if that final year option wasn't picked up. Now that final year option isn't really a thing. He's just going to make the straight $40, and then because he waived his no-trade clause, he got $1 million kicker on there. So, yeah, Sonny Gray got an extra $1 million for saying that he would accept a trade and go against his trade clause or no trade clause. So, I mean, $41 million is a lot of money. I would rather spend that money probably on Dylan Cease than Sonny Gray at this point. But when you think about the cost of pitching, 1 year, $41 million, and from a Red Sox perspective, they're only on the hook for 21 of it. Like that's not a crazy amount of money. And it wasn't that long ago where a $20+ million pitcher was an all-star caliber guy for sure. And can Gray pitch to an all-star level? Yeah, he can. Is he going to? That's the better question, and it seems like indications are at this point that he's on the other side of that in his career. But again, he may have a real good bounce back this upcoming season. All right, here's what we're going to do. We'll see if anybody wants to get in on here. I always try to keep my promises. Yesterday, I told you we'd do this today. If you want to chime in on where the Cardinals are at right now, if you want to tell me your thoughts on the trade that they made yesterday, whether you're really happy with it or really upset about it, this is the time to do it. You can give us a call, 314-436-7900, 314-436-7900. That's how you call. You can also text in at that same number, 314-436-7900. You can also leave a comment on the video stream. I want to hear from you. I want to hear your thoughts on the trade that was made yesterday. Are you happy? Are you unhappy? We'll discuss it with you coming up in just a moment. Don't go anywhere. You're locked into a Gray Bar Sports Open Line on KMOX.
Sponsored by the Moolah Shrine Center Festival of Trees.
Hello, everyone. I want to invite you to the Moolah Festival of Trees. Come see over 40 of the best decorated trees you'll ever see. Adult tickets are only $2 and kids under 12 are free. November 22nd through the 29th at the Moolah Shrine Center.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. Ever wonder why Big Wireless wants you on an unlimited plan? They probably want you to cover the cost of those 20-somethings using all that data every month. But most people 50 and up like me only use 12 gigs or less. Don't get bamboozled by Big Wireless. Switch to Consumer Cellular. Our plans start at just $20, and we use the same towers as the big guys. Join the millions who choose something better, because if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com/facts or a store near you. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
My name is Whitney Allen. I am a widow. My husband Ryan died. We never thought in a million years we'd have to use life insurance. The unexpected happened. With Ethos, it is so fast and easy. It's 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage through Ethos.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio.
Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Love being able to talk to you about my friends over at i3 Broadband. They are the internet service provider at my home. I am very happy that they are because I don't have to worry about my internet going out just randomly. That's the most important thing. We've all had internet service providers where they just have those, like, isn't it the worst thing in the world where the internet drops and you're just sitting there waiting and you're going, okay, is this real? Like, do I need to reset my router? Is this going to come back up in a couple minutes? Everything that I'm trying to do is stopped. Well, I don't have to live with that because I've got i3 Broadband. You don't have to live with that either. Here, everything is 100% fiber internet and everything is underground. So a little rainstorm comes through, that's not going to knock it out. You got it was a windy day today. I bet somebody's internet went down because of the wind today. That's not going to happen with i3 Broadband. You always get the price lock guarantee. They're not going to get you in and then all of a sudden pull a bait and switch and up your prices. Their service is great. They always have the equal upload and download speeds. A lot of providers do not do that, and that bogs things down more than you know. Go to the website, i3broadband.com. Put your address in, see if they're available in your neighborhood, i3broadband.com. Or you can just give them a call, and they can tell you everything. 877-976-0711. It's i3 Broadband.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Severe from Vicks.
Sinex Severe nasal spray.
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Severe instantly relieves nasal congestion and works 6 times faster than nasal decongestant tablets. The 12 hours of relief allow you to get back to the moments that matter without congestion.
Daddy, we need more balloons. Vicks.
On it.
Try Sinex Severe from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
An official message from Medicare.
Medicare plans change from one year to the next. And this year, it's important for you to review your current coverage and compare all your options during Medicare open enrollment. Compare health plans, drug coverage, and costs. See if you can save some money, and don't forget to make sure your drugs are covered. Open enrollment ends December 7th. Visit Medicare.gov or call 1-800-MEDICARE.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
I hear from sellers all the time that they fear they have missed out on the selling market. They are so relieved to learn September, October, and November are strong selling months. With low inventory and hopefully lower interest rates, this fall will be a hot one for real estate. I'm Christina Straight, owner of Straight Realty. You may have heard me say, why pay more than 4 for years? Now it's why pay more than 2, saving you even more money. Call me 314-441-4444. And remember, why pay more than 2?
Straight Realty is a licensed broker in the state of Missouri, Kansas, and Nevada.
Glover here from my friends at Cantor Injury Law. Cantor is local, and we're here doing the work every day. We're right here in St. Louis, and we're ready to fight for you. CantorInjuryLaw.com or call 314-628-9999.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be solely based on advertisements.
Retiring soon? Get the information you need by joining Kyle Jones and Matt Allgeier of Fira Capital Management for your retirement highway, Sunday mornings at 9:30. Investment advisory services made available through Pine Ridge Advisors, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Securities made available through AE Financial Services, LLC, member FINRA and SIPC.
Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports Open Line. Once again, Matt Pauley on KMOX.
We are continuing on here on Thanksgiving Eve. Thanks so much for spending a portion of your evening with us as you get ready for your holiday. If you want to join us, and this is the opportunity to do so, you can call or text 314-436-7900. 314-436-7900. That's how you call. That's how you text. Tweet at me, at Matt Pauley on air. Or for those of you who are watching on the video stream, you can leave a comment, and we'll get to some of those as we continue on. But I want to get everybody's thoughts, if you want to get in here, on what you thought about yesterday's trade. Sonny Gray getting moved to Boston for a couple pitchers. One, both young pitchers, both controllable. One ready for the big leagues and Fitz. The other in Clark, who's going to be a little while till we'll see him at the big league level. Let's start with Mark, who's given us a call. Hey, Mark, you're on Sports Open Line.
Yes, thanks for taking my call, and a great topic for discussion for Cardinal fans, and I am a Cardinal fan. I love the trade. It makes good sense. Very good sense. Where the Cardinals are, the emphasis has to be on starting pitching, and this has been a neglect on the Cardinals over recent years. So I'm glad that Heimblum is making this first deal to unload the salary, because Sonny Gray was a little erratic last year. All the things he wanted and everything is being the number one pitcher. But clearly you have to look at his age and all. And then I also look at the two top teams that competed. And so you have to look at what gets you not only to the playoffs, but gets you to the World Series to compete, to become world champions. So I think they're on the right path because they did, we know the Dodgers had outstanding, really starting pitching, but Toronto wasn't that far off. I mean, in some of those games, they matched the Dodgers, and think about the historic 18-inning game. But starting pitching is a requirement. The Cardinals got a very good defense. That's how you build a championship team. Good starting pitching and good defense. You're in every game. And then now if we get more situational hitting, the Cardinals will be right there being able to really, truly compete, not only to get to the playoffs, but also to be a viable contender, for winning the championship. That's Cardinal baseball as I see it. Thank you
Mark,
so much.
You bet. Appreciate the phone call. Good to hear from you, Mark, a regular caller during the baseball season, during the Extra Innings Show. Always love when we hear from some of those folks. And Mark's hit the nail on the head right there. You want to win at the highest level. You want to go on playoff runs. You have to have high-end pitching. And the Cardinals don't have enough of it. They're not going to have enough of it this upcoming season, but they're trying to get as much of it into the system, or as much potential of it into the system, as they try to as they try to have more of a surplus moving forward. 314-436-7900, 314-436-7900. That's how you call. That's how you text. Tweet at me, at Matt Pauley on air. Leave a comment on the video stream. Let's grab Don, who's giving us a call. Hey, Don, you're on Sports Open Line.
Happy Thanksgiving to you, Matt. And I want to talk about the Gray trade. I'm not crazy about the trade. Personally, I'll give you my opinion on it. I just don't think they got enough for him. I mean, Brandon, what's his name? He may not mount to nothing. The other pitcher, he's probably going to be in the rotation next year. And then I want to know about Nolan Arenado. What rumors are you hearing on him? And is there anything going on with Donovan? Are they going to trade him, Matt? And I'll stay on the line and hear your comments. Happy Thanksgiving to you, Matt.
Happy Thanksgiving to you. It's good to hear from you. Yesterday, Hein Bloom was asked very directly whether or not there had been any status change when it came to both Nolan Arenado and Wilson Contreras, and he said nothing has changed. I read something today that people saying the best fits for Arenado would be the Angels and the Pirates. I have a really hard time believing that Arenado would accept a deal to the Pirates. He still has a no-trade clause. I bet he would accept a deal to the Angels. Even though the Angels are not ready to win right now, the Cardinals aren't ready to win either. And at least if he went to the Angels, it would be an opportunity for him to be able to play closer to home. I do think the fact that the Cardinals ate $20 million yesterday for Sonny Gray tells you that they are going to be more open for business when it comes to moving on from Arenado and eating some of that salary that goes along with it. Look, and I understand, I completely understand what Don was saying when he said that he doesn't feel like the Cardinals got enough for Sonny Gray because there's no guarantee that Brandon Clark is going to turn into anything. I understand that sentiment. I'm not trying to be dismissive of that statement. I'm really not. But I am trying to bring a little bit of reality to the situation. There are very few players who would net back a can't-miss pitching prospect. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen in today's baseball. If you've got a can't-miss pitching prospect, those guys don't get traded because that is the number one commodity, the number one asset that exists in baseball. So what you have to do is what the Cardinals did yesterday, and that's go get some guys or a guy specifically to Clark, kind of taking Fitz as a guy who's going to come in and he's going to probably help out in the rotation this upcoming season. And he kind of is what he is. I think he's a nice player, but he's probably not a top of the rotation guy. But Clark, if he hits his potential, he can be a top of the rotation guy. Is there a guarantee of that happening? No, absolutely there's not. But he's got some nasty stuff, man. He's got some really, really nasty stuff. And in terms of Brendan Donovan, there's no guarantee that he's going to get moved. I think he is the player who I don't think the team's going to trade Alec Burleson. I really don't. So there's a handful of guys who I don't think they're going to trade, who they're just probably not going to be really motivated to be engaged on, barring the offer that you can't say no to. And Mason Wynn's on that list. And I think Alec Burleson, maybe not quite to the extent that Wynn is, but I think Burleson's there. So going off my kind of assumption that Burleson is not going to get traded, I don't think he is. Donovan is your best trade asset that's on the team right now. He's going to bring back the highest return. He doesn't have a lot of time left on 2 more years of club control. He's had some injury issues. I just think now's the time. For me, now's the time to move on from Donovan. Now, that being said, if you don't move on from Donovan, you can move on from Gorman. You're not going to get the same return for Gorman than you would for Donovan. But if you do that, because you need to open up a spot for JJ Weatherholt, right? That's part of what's going on right now. And let's assume for a second that Nolan Arenado is going to get moved. Arenado gets moved. Well, the assumption is that Gorman is at third. Well, if Arenado and Gorman gets moved, then you can put Weatherholt at third. If Arenado and Donovan get moved, then you put Weatherholt at second. So assuming Arenado's going to get moved, and I think that's going to happen. I said the exact same thing last offseason. I was wrong. They had a deal done. He turned it down. But I was wrong on that assumption last year. But I'm going to make the same assumption this year. Arenado is going to get moved. At that point, you have to move on from either Donovan or Gorman because you have to open up a spot for Weatherholt to be able to play. Donovan is the guy who's going to get you the best return. And I need to pull the cut from yesterday and just play it over and over and over this offseason. But Hein Bloom was very clear that said when there's two opportunities in front of them, and this is a paraphrase, not his exact words, when there's two opportunities in front of them, and one opportunity is a short-term opportunity and one opportunity is a long-term opportunity, and they're going in divergent directions, they are going to go in the direction of the long-term opportunity. You can like it, you can dislike it, we can have all the discussions you want about it, but that's where the team is at right now. That is the decisions that they're going to be making. So if that's the case, then that tells me that if you're trying to decide between trading Donovan or Gorman, you trade Donovan because that's going to give you the better return and set you up better for the future. We are going to take a break, and when we return, we're going to talk with our friend Kyle Reese. We'll get his thoughts. He does a really good job of covering prospects. He does some stuff with the Cardinal Nation. He worked a little bit with Brian Walt. Does a bunch of stuff. If you're on social media, you see him all over doing things. Kyle joins us in just a moment. This is a Gray Bar Sports Open Line right here on KMOX.
Overhead Door Company of St. Louis, the genuine, the original, present 100 years of KMOX.
Swing and a home run to left.
There when legends were born.
The first Major League home run for Albert Pujols.
Pujols hits a high fly ball. That's deep. Left center field. It's a gunner!
Swinging another home run. There it is, his third of the game. Albert Pujols, 5 for 5 with 3 home runs.
Pujols swings and he drives this one left field down the line, and it's a gunner! Home run 703.
And to all you Cardinal Nation, best fans in baseball, thank you.
There for every headline, every heartbreak, every heartbeat. KMOX, the voice of St. Louis. Brought to you by Together Credit Union. Achieve more with competitive rates on savings and lending. Visit togethercu.org.
For 100 years, KMOX has been part of St. Louis. Now, Together Credit Union is helping celebrate that legacy. Starting in November, visit any Together Credit Union branch to pick up a KMOX 100th anniversary commemorative ornament for just $5 while supplies last. Each ornament supports Children's Miracle Network of Greater St. Louis. Together Credit Union, honoring 100 years of KMOX, the voice of St. Louis, and Children's Miracle Network of Greater St. Louis, improving the health of all children.
Experience a musical kaleidoscope as the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra performs Shostakovich's 15th, Rebellion and Reckoning, an epic symphonic memoir. Cellist Kian Soltany joins to make his St. Louis debut, using his bow to tell the story of Haydn's elegant cello concerto. December 5th and 6th at Powell Hall at the Jack C. Taylor Music Center. Tickets at slso.org.
Woke radical liberals are screwing up this country, but Congressman Jason Smith is fighting back. He backed one big, beautiful tax cut for working families, ending Social Security taxes for nearly all seniors, and taxes on tips and overtime gone. So call Congressman Jason Smith at 202-225-4404 and thank him for backing working family tax cuts and putting America first. Paid for by American Prosperity Alliance.
Attention business owners with a net income over $500,000. You need to work with a tax strategist that understands your entrepreneurial mindset. Download the most recent white paper written by E3 Consultants Group titled The Power of a Professional Tax Strategy Team. Go to e3wealth.com/radio to obtain a copy. It's time to learn about wealth and tax strategies that protect your personal and business economy. E3 is ready to help you think differently about your finances. Educate, empower, enlighten. That's the E3 difference.
A KFC tale in the pursuit of flavor. The holidays were tricky for the Colonel. He loved people, but he also loved peace and quiet. So he cooked up KFC's $4.99 chicken pot pie. Warm, flaky, with savory sauce and vegetables. It's a tender chicken-filled excuse to get some time to yourself and step away from decking the halls, whatever that means. The Colonel lived so we could chicken. KFC's Chicken Pot Pie. The best $4.99 you'll spend this season.
Prices and participation may vary while supplies last. Taxes, tips, and fees extra.
Selling your home, it's one of the biggest financial decisions you'll ever make. You could go it alone, trying to navigate market trends, determine fair pricing, and tackle tricky negotiations on your own. You could second-guess every decision, wondering if you're doing it right. Then there's the showings, the offers, and the mountain of paperwork. Or you could work with the expertise of a realtor, here to guide and help protect as you make your next big move. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors. Right by you.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Cunahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions and bring you a special Black Friday offer.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have leaf filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/deal. And now, as a special Black Friday offer, you can get a free gutter inspection, plus up to 35% off. This is our best offer of the season. Unlock it now at leaffilter.com/deal. See representative for warranty details.
This is Mayor Kara Spencer. Congratulations, KMOX, on 100 years of great service to the St. Louis region.
And haven't eaten all day. My tummy is growling cause I've been saving up space. I've got my place at the table, can't fit no more on my plate. I've got my fork in my hand, ready to stuff my face. So bring on the turkey, potatoes, casserole dishes, cause I ain't messing around with them buttoned up bridges. You got them skinny.
It's a Great Art Sports Open Line right here on KMOX, our pre-Thanksgiving edition or our Thanksgiving Eve edition. We're continuing to talk through all things Cardinals, all things Sonny Gray trade from yesterday. And one of my favorite people to be able to talk to, he does a fantastic job, especially on social media, covering Cardinals prospects. He got mentioned the other day when we had Brian Walton on because he does some stuff with Brian over at the Cardinal Nation. He's a few other spots as well. He is Kyle Reese. You follow him on Twitter at KyleR416. Kyle, thanks for taking some time with us today. How are you?
I'm doing really well, Mr. Pauley. It's a pleasure to join you. A total honor every time.
Oh, well, that's very nice of you to say. And I got to. So one of my favorite things about following along with you was for the better part of the last few years, I could sense either very overtly or somewhat passive aggressively you not being super happy with maybe some 40-man roster moves the Cardinals would make. And now, really, since Chaim Bloom took over and the handful of moves that they made, whether it's non-tenders or whatever, it feels like you're, for the most part, pretty happy with a lot of the moves the Cardinals are choosing to make on the fringes of the roster.
Yeah, you are correct. You know, for many, many years now, the back end of the Cardinals 40-man roster in particular has been a roster of redundancies. A lot of players that would fill the same need. And then, especially in the pitching staff, whether it be in the bullpen or potential starters, a lot of the pitchers were the same kind of pitcher that didn't really have much value to either the Cardinals' long-term future or any other organization. And what we've seen so far since Mr. Bloom took over, and we started seeing bits and pieces of this last year with his influence and Rob Cerfolio's influence. But what we're seeing now is a lot of those, pitch-to-contact pitchers who also don't have such good command start to find their way off of the 40-man. And more intriguing pitchers in particular find their way onto the 40-man. They're being smarter about the prospects they're protecting. They're leaving some fringe guys off. Guys like prospects like right-handed pitcher Max Radek. He's the kind of guy who the previous administration might hold on to. And he's not really a pitcher that anybody's going to take. And if they do, you don't really have to worry about there being results. So that's just all to say that I think that they're nibbling away at some of the fringe players that were never going to have a serious major league impact and opening opportunities and chances for players who could end up having like a real major league impact. And so far, so good in that regard.
Yeah, you use the word intriguing, and I think that's notable because it's not so much about the can't miss people. We know who those are, and obviously they're going to hold on to them. But, Clark yesterday is a great example. There's no guarantee he's getting to the big leagues. But if he does, and if he reaches potential, holy moly, this guy can be somebody who's pretty special. And it feels like more and more of those guys with some of the traits that you want to see, especially from a swing and miss standpoint, more of those individuals are in the organization already.
Yeah, that's it. We started to see that get highlighted at the draft. I believe when we talked about the last time we talked, we had Tanner Franklin, the Cardinals' third overall pick, the third round pick, to talk about. They keep highlighting pitchers who have traits that have success at the major leagues now, and they're getting ahead of it. I was talking to a friend of mine, Kareem SFN, who has his own podcast yesterday, and we were just talking about, one thing that they're doing with lefties, they're targeting lefties with really good fastballs and changeups to play off the fastball. They're getting ahead of the market in that regard, and they're kind of hoarding it, which means that they're going to have a surplus to deal with. In every aspect, they're modernizing, and it's not just like modernizing to catch up. In the past, we've seen them target pitchers that have sliders after the slider craze had already hit Major League Baseball. Well, now they're getting ahead of it. They're finding a new market efficiency. And that, I'm spending a lot of time talking about pitching, but that's also happening with some of the bats that they're going to key in on, and some of the players, some of the hitters we might see make Major League debuts in the coming years. So it's all to say that this modernization is happening, and I think it's also happening at the same time without giving up what is the essence of Cardinal baseball, which is small ball, which is playing good defense, smart base running. They're doing one without compromising the other, and I think that's what's been most intriguing for me over the last year and a half.
We're talking with Kyle Reese. So yesterday, Cardinals, they make the move. They bring in Clark. You mentioned Kareem. He mentioned something on social media, which I thought was interesting. He specifically talked about Clark's slider, and that may be the single best pitch that exists in the Cardinals organization right now. They also bring in a guy who's going to be able to factor in at the major league level right away in Richard Fitts. What did you think of the return for Sonny Gray?
I love the way that you talked about Brandon Clark just a little second ago. I think it really exemplifies, this is a really exciting arm. He is an extremely talented arm. Another thing that, I'm not sure the Cardinals have had this kind of, what scouts call arm talent since maybe Alex Reyes. I think that's the last time they had this kind of raw ability in the organization. No disrespect to Liam Doyle or to Quinn Matthews or Michael Wacha, this group that they've had, Jack Flaherty, but this is the next tier of arm talent. Now, it comes with a lot of questions, and we'll see what he can do. We'll see if he can even be a reliever. I still think he's very much in the play for a long-term starter, but this type of arm that young man has, it's impossible to find. There are very few of them, and it is that kind of talent. And, as you start peeling back the layers of what he's capable of doing, there's a slider and a sweeper there. And the slider is the marquee pitch, but there's a sweeper that's kind of built in that's probably every bit as good of the slider, and they both get 60% swing and miss. To go with a fastball and a sinker, he throws both of those pitches. Both of them, the fastball is an amazing pitch, gets in the high 90s, it touches 100. Sinker does the same thing. They both get varying levels of results. He has varying levels of command with the ball. Let's go with a curve and a changeup. But again, if you're going to trade Sonny Gray and you're going to include money, even with the high variance that this young man's going to have success, the concerns that come with it, this is the kind of arm that you target because you're not going to be able to find this. You're not going to be able to draft this. You say the Cardinals get a lottery pick this year. There's a good chance that first overall, second overall, third overall, top 7 pick, you're not going to find this kind of arm. So that alone is a positive return. And then I like with Richard Fitts, I just like that they have somebody who's kind of a little bit more foolproof version of what we've seen out of Andre Palante. I think that there's a lot of pitch to contact there, but I think that there's major league bridge immediately. And the Cardinals need major league pitchers to bridge to the next round of prospects. With so many pitching injuries in the organization this year, whether it be Cooper Jerpy or Tekoa Roby, Brian Holiday, all these guys at varying levels with varying time to get them to the majors, you're going to need guys like Richard Fitts to bridge that gap. And when you find somebody like that who can keep the ball on the ground, in part because of a mid-90s two-seamer, but also has an interesting slider and probably just needs to use his two-seamer more specifically against right-handers, I think that you'll see that little bit of tweaking start to pay off for the Cardinals, especially because you can pitch a little different at Busch than you can at Fenway. So I think, of course, you trade Sonny Gray, it's tough. It's always tough, even in a rebuild like this, when you're trading somebody as supremely talented as he is. But for the situation that the Cardinals are in with their long-term future, this is what you target. You target immense talent and somebody who can get you to the next that next round of next level.
Brendan Donovan, I think, will get traded. There's been some reporting that kind of came out today that, the Cardinals are okay holding on to him if they don't get an offer that they like. I feel like there's almost been a level of misinformation on social media with people putting the bar a little bit too high on what Donovan's return would be. Some people out there talking about the top one or two prospects in organizations. To me, I feel like Donovan's a guy who's going to net you maybe somebody towards the end of the top 100 of all Major League prospects, and I'm not even 100% sure of that. Where do you stand on this? What would be a logical, common sense, connected to earth return for a Brendan Donovan?
This is one of the few things that people ever come to me to be connected to Earth. Most of the time, it's like, well, what kind of planet is this guy living on? No, so I think it's somewhere between the two, Matt. It all depends on what the market dictates. I do think that you might be able to find a team that's willing to give a consensus top 50 pick. I do think that we're going to get the team's number one, we're going to get a team's number two, and also a major league caliber pitcher with 4 or 5 years of control. That's probably unrealistic. Again, I say that, but if the market ends up getting crazy for him and you have a bunch of teams bidding on him at like the winter meetings when everybody's together, you can throw any expectation, any reality out of the window. But I think when you step back and you really think about the player Brendan Donovan is with 2 years of control, I think you're talking about, like, if the Cardinals aren't convinced, if the Cardinals aren't willing to trade him for anything less than what they want, then what they're probably going to want here is a team's a top 50 prospect, a top 100 prospect, and probably somebody, again, who can be a Dick Fitz or Richard Fitz, somebody who can fit that mold to come in, fill some valuable innings, whether it be long relief or starting innings right away. And I think that's what they're going to target. I think, and if teams end up outbidding for him, which seems to be likely depending on some of the national reporting, I think that it could be a little bit more than that. But again, I think what we're also learning about this regime, this Cardinal regime in particular, this player development staff, is they're being very, the way the player development staff and the scouting staff are working together, they're being very deliberate about the prospects, both draft and in other organizations that they're targeting. And they have an MO that they're going after. So I don't necessarily know if it'll be one of those where, it's a team's fifth best pick or fifth best prospect and their eighth best prospect. I think that there's a really good chance that it might be a team's 10th best prospect and a team's 16th best prospect, but just with really great stuff who eventually find their way into top 50 or top 100 consideration once the Cardinals get their hands on them.
Let me finish you off with this. And I try to listen to what is said, and I think we can all assume that if you try to create space for a J.J. Weatherholt, you have to trade either Donovan or Gorman, assuming Arenado's gone as well. And I keep going back to what Heim said yesterday, that when they're presented basically with two options, and one option is better for the short term and one option is better for the long term, and those two options go head to head with each other, they're always going to go with the long term option. I hear Heim say that, and I feel like, well, then there's no way you can choose to trade Gorman as opposed to trading Donovan.
I think that that's a good call. And I think that, I think the other left-handed battle there, if you're going to, segment them up, is it makes more sense to trade Lars Nootbaar than Alec Burleson, too, for that very reason that you're saying, the short term to the long term. I do think with Gorman, there's a different conversation to be had because he's worked with so many different people to try to get right. And I don't know if that fit has happened in the organization. It doesn't mean it won't. It doesn't mean that, with a new front office setup, that they might be able to finally unlock what his true underlying value is. But I do think that we haven't really seen those results, no matter how hard he's worked or who he's worked with. And we've seen a lot of reverting back to old habits. So I do think you're right about your point that you can't have J.J. Weatherholt in the majors and still have Donovan and Gorman. But I do think that there's a world where you can actually move all three of Arenado, Gorman, and Donovan if all the returns are correct. Minus Arenado, that's a whole different thing. But if the returns for Donovan and Gorman are correct, you're not hurting so bad with the angle that you're trying to take for the long-term future of the organization to move out all three and have JJ and whatever patchwork middle infielder, whether it be Cesar Prieto or Jose Fermin for the short term, just to get you through it and be competitive and figure it out if the returns match up perfectly. But there's also no urgency to trade any of those guys right now. So it's a fascinating position for them to be in.
Kyle Reese is awesome. You follow him on Twitter at KyleR416. Kyle, thanks for the time. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving, and we'll do this again in the future.
I can't wait, Matt. Happy Thanksgiving to you and the listeners.
Awesome. Very good. Kyle Reese joining us on the program. We appreciate him taking a few moments with us. He's great when it comes to a lot of things, but certainly talking through Cardinals prospects, and I could have gone on with him for much, much longer, but we got to take a break, so we'll do that more in a moment on KMOX.
You've got your whole life ahead of you, so choose a Medicare plan you can count on. And that's what you get with a Medicare Advantage plan from United Healthcare. With more than 45 years' experience serving its members, United Healthcare has plans with low monthly premiums that fit your life today and as your needs change tomorrow. The Medicare annual enrollment period ends December 7th, so go to uhc.com/Medicare today. United Healthcare Medicare plans. It's Medicare coverage Missouri can count on.
Thank you, St. Louis, for making Genesis of St. Charles the #1 Genesis dealer in Missouri for 2025. We know your time is valuable. That's why every purchase comes with 3 years of complimentary Genesis service valet. Unlock your e-price and save. That means complimentary vehicle pickup and delivery, plus a loaner vehicle at no additional cost. Or want something new? We'll bring the test drive to you. Visit genesisofstcharles.com during the Genesis Signature event. Based on GMA sales records for 2024. See dealer for details.
Don't miss Mosby Building Arts Home Improvement Show, Saturdays from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on KMOX. One of the last call-in shows where you can get live answers to your remodeling, design, and construction questions. Tune in Saturdays at 11 a.m.
Hey, Jeff, looks like your business is really booming, even in a tough time for businesses like ours.
Hey, Mike. Yeah, thanks to LendSeek, our business was able to take care of some outstanding bills and taxes and to purchase inventory and expand our product lines.
Wow. You know, my business needs working capital, but only from a reputable company that I can trust and count on. How does LendSeek work?
Fast and easy. Just apply at lendseek.com. Their AI lending platform gave my business access to over 100 funding programs with one simple application. And it costs nothing to apply.
At lendseek.com, you can receive business funding with no collateral, no prepayment penalties, and no restrictions on how you use the funds. Whatever your funding needs are, seek no more. Our AI lending marketplace has you covered. If you've been in business at least 1 year with annual revenue of at least $250,000, you could get the funding your business needs in as little as 24 hours. There's no obligation, so apply today at lendseek.com. That's LENDSEEK.com.
Hey there, it's Steven, the owner of the Photo Pros, formerly Creve Coeur Camera. Each day, people bring us their family history, single photos in need of restoration, piles of photos wanting them to be scanned, boxes of slides, albums, videotapes, DVDs, and even old home movies. We take them and digitize them, or what we call scan them at high resolution, and place them on a USB thumb drive. Plus, many people want additional copies for the rest of the family. Yes, we'll make you copies. Here's the best part. You don't have to send them out of St. Louis and have the chance of losing them. If needed, we can fix or restore the entire image or images. We are slightly higher priced than the internet, but our quality is top notch. Remember the Photo Pros, formerly Creve Coeur Camera. Come visit Mark, Derek, Daryl, Tony, and me, Steven, at our store. You can reach us at 314-567-3456 or Google the Photo Pros or even Creve Coeur Camera.
Tech isn't the only industry interested in supercomputers. Pharmaceutical maker Eli Lilly is partnering with AI chipmaker NVIDIA to build an AI supercomputer that's designed to train models on millions of biological experiments with the hopes of speeding up the development of new drugs. Lilly says the supercomputer has the potential to cut years off of preclinical testing trials and giving Lilly an advantage over rivals. I'm Jason Brooks.
Are you tired of online threats? Then get an antivirus. It's the only online protection you will ever need.
Disclaimer: an antivirus is just half protection online. It will not protect you from snoopers or encrypt your online traffic. So this Black Friday, get better online protection with NordVPN. NordVPN will encrypt your traffic, protect you from malware and phishing, and stop annoying ads. Get the NordVPN Black Friday deal with 73% off and enjoy 3 extra months.
Welcome
Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports Open Line. Once again, Matt Pauley on KMOX.
Starting to wrap up hour number 1 of the program. Got a tweet from one of our loyal listeners who I really appreciate, although I don't think they appreciate me right now. Free Spirit 120 saying, Matt, it's terrible that you constantly insult Brendan Donovan when in fact he's an all-star and can play multiple positions and is basically the best player they have. Why do you not like this gem of Major League Baseball, our coveted Brendan? Yes, let's keep Gorman, who strikes out every at-bat, she says sarcastically, as well as Brendan is a leader in the clubhouse. It eludes me that you constantly underrate him. He's top 20 of best players, not just top 100. He's more talented than anyone on the team. So this is, I love Brendan Donovan. This is where I hate these conversations sometimes because I can really, really like a player, but I can also say that he's not as good as some people think he is. With all due respect to Free Spirit, he's not a top 20 player in all of Major League Baseball. He's not. He was an all-star because he was the Cardinals' representative on the all-star team. He's not a for sure all-star playing on any team in baseball. So I love what Brendan Donovan represents, but I also love the idea of the return that you can get for him and what that can help with his team with moving forward. This is KMOX.
This is Congressman Bob Onder. For 43 days, the left kept the government closed, holding the American people hostage and demanding radical policy changes, including free health care for illegal immigrants. However, thanks to strong Republican leadership, the Senate voted to reopen the government and put America first. I'm thrilled to return to Washington so I can continue to vote to help Missourians, to secure our nation's borders, and to cut wasteful spending. Visit onder.house.gov to find the office closest to you.
Paid for by official funds authorized by the House of Representatives.
Looking for some iced caffeine, left you in the cold. No one knows why brown water costs as much as liquid gold. Told him your name was Brian, why does this cup say Nicole? But then you found paradise in your cup at the Quick Trip. No regrets to start your day.
This holiday season, the Dave Glover Show is excited to partner with Hardee's and Operation Food Search for the Holiday Food Drive. While supplies last, stop by any metro area Hardee's and make a donation of at least $1 to benefit Operation Food Search and receive a limited edition DGS holiday sticker. All donations will benefit Operation Food Search to help children and families facing food insecurities. Get all the details about the campaign or to make an online donation, head to KMOX.com/events.
This holiday, give the gift that lasts all season long. Cardinals ticket packs are on sale now, starting at 5, 6, and 10 games. All packs include 2026's top games and favorite giveaways. Backed by popular demand, choose from the opening day pack or the bobblehead pack. Check out the Cubs pack, weekend pack, or apparel pack. There's a pack for everyone. Find your perfect gift right now at cardinals.com/tickets.
The holidays come and go, but Cardinals baseball lasts all season long. This year, give the gift of all-inclusive tickets, featuring a full buffet, complimentary bar, and unbeatable views at Busch Stadium. Enjoy great food, good times, and every moment of the action. Choose your experience in the Budweiser 703 Club, UMB Champions Club, Coca-Cola Scoreboard Patio, and more. Make your holidays brighter with all-inclusive tickets. On sale now at cardinals.com/tickets.
I hear from sellers all the time that they fear they have missed out on the selling market. They are so relieved to learn September, October, and November are strong selling months. With low inventory and hopefully lower interest rates, this fall will be a hot one for real estate. I'm Christina Straight, owner of Straight Realty. You may have heard me say, why pay more than 4 for years? Now it's why pay more than 2, saving you even more money. Call me 314-441-4444. And remember, why pay more than 2?
Straight Realty is a licensed broker in the state of Missouri, Kansas, and Nevada.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Cunahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions and bring you a special Black Friday offer.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have leaf filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/deal. And now, as a special Black Friday offer, you can get a free gutter inspection, plus up to 35% off. This is our best offer of the season. Unlock it now at leaffilter.com/deal. See representative for warranty details.
News, talk, cards. KMOX AM St. Louis, KMOX FM Hazelwood. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Steel.
I'm Christopher Cruz in Washington. Multiple law enforcement officials have identified the suspect in the ambush shooting of 2 National Guardsmen from West Virginia in the nation's capital. They say he is 29-year-old Afghan national Ramanullah Lakhanwal. Here's CBS's Nicole Skanga.
President Trump called the suspect an animal who will pay a steep price. And according to Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, called for 500 more National Guard members to be deployed inside the city.
That will only stiffen our resolve. We will never back down. We will secure our capital. We will secure our cities. In fact, this happened just steps away from the White House. We will not stand.
The suspect was shot. Officials are not releasing the condition of the 2 guardsmen. A heavy snowstorm has been blanketing the upper Midwest. CBS News Minnesota meteorologist Jonah Kaplan is at the map.
Across the Midwest, the first snowstorm of the season came at the worst time for Thanksgiving travel. Heavy snow fell in parts of Minnesota, North Dakota, and western Wisconsin on Wednesday, as much as 17 inches in some places. Wind gusts over 40 miles per hour caused whiteout and blizzard-like conditions. And 1 man was killed while clearing snow near Duluth, Minnesota, after snow and strong winds snapped a tree branch.
Police have arrested 3 men on manslaughter charges after a huge fire broke out in a high-rise apartment building complex in Hong Kong. The BBC's David Harper.
More than 40 people are confirmed to have died in a massive fire that engulfed several high-rise apartment blocks in Hong Kong. Dozens of people are in hospital and close to 300 remain unaccounted for. The cause of the inferno isn't yet known, but it's thought to have spread rapidly through bamboo scaffolding.
As negotiations move forward on an American plan to end Russia's invasion of Ukraine, the former U.S. ambassador to Ukraine, William Taylor, has a warning.
You cannot trust the Russians. In order to be sure that the Russians won't invade again, the Europeans have been seriously talking about putting troops into Ukraine after the ceasefire, after the Russians stop fighting. That's an indication that we can't trust the Russians, that we need to support the Ukrainians so that the Russians don't invade again.
Taylor spoke to BBC News Europe. People gathered on Manhattan's Upper West Side today to watch their favorite balloons take shape for tomorrow's big Thanksgiving Day parade. Rebecca Longshore was among them.
Balloons being blown up, our favorite characters, life-size, massive characters. We love it, don't we?
The 99th annual Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade will feature 34 balloon characters and 28 floats, including the first ever appearance of La Boo Boo. This is CBS News.
Check off the wish list with instant savings and free battery offers on select Steel tools. Shop online at steelusa.com or in-store.
At 7:03, we've got 38 degrees downtown at the Arch. Impaired driving crashes often spike during the holidays, and the Missouri State Highway Patrol says it is a troubling trend. Lieutenant Eric Brown explains to MissouriNet why these incidents increase this time of year.
You have a lot of family gatherings, you have a lot of parties, work-related gatherings, and oftentimes alcohol or other impairing substances are involved in those. It can be very dangerous, obviously, to drive impaired. We know that impaired drivers often cause crashes, often cause fatal crashes.
The Highway Patrol warns that impaired driving comes with serious consequences like arrests, hefty fines, and the possibility of significant jail time. A local dietitian warns against cutting out nutritious food to make up for the alcohol you want to drink at holiday parties.
Alcohol itself, calorically, is pretty dense.
Michelle Wilson is a registered dietitian with Brands Nutrition. She says alcohol calorically is closer to fat than to carbs or protein.
I've heard of people before trying to reduce down the amount they're eating to be able to fit in the drinks they plan on drinking, but the risk with this is is that digestive process. So if you skip a meal and then drink some alcohol, then it really hits your system hard.
Wilson adds, if you think wine is better than beer or spirits because it has antioxidants, you can also get those from simply drinking grape juice. Megan Lynch, KMOX News.
Although sports gambling is not legal in Missouri until next month, that's coming up, there is a platform where you can legally place bets today.
Prediction markets are an emerging platform that allow you to place bets on nearly anything, like who will be the top Spotify artist, Zootopia 2's Rotten Tomatoes score, and yes, sporting events. Ryan Butler with Covers.com tells KMOX while they are similar, sportsbooks are safer and offer more betting options for consumers than prediction markets because they facilitate their bets between two people.
That is not too hard for what we call point spread, money line. Those are your most common bets, totals. But it is difficult for prop bets, which is betting on individual players, and even more so for parlays.
Butler says prediction markets are able to skirt regulators because their bets are head-to-head against other users and not a sports book, and therefore they consider them stock trading. Sean Malone, KMOX News.
And that forecast from Dave Murray for tonight, partly cloudy, cold, some wind, low 29. For Thanksgiving, sunshine, cold and breezy with a high of 42. For tomorrow night, clear and cold, low 25. For Friday, high 39. Friday night, a light mix of rain and wet snow with, according to Dave Murray, hamster-sized snowflakes possible, mainly late night after midnight. Friday, low 32. For Saturday, we'll start off with some morning wet snow, then a mix of rain and snow. Accumulating snow could be possible in the morning with a high of 39 for Saturday. Right now, downtown at the Arch, it's 38. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports Open Line. Once again, Matt Pauley on KMOX.
Into hour number 2 of the program. Welcome in. We're kind of having a little bit of fun here on a pre-Thanksgiving edition of the program. Michael Calhoun sitting at the news desk right now. So you mentioned the hamster-sized flurries, which is did you hear him by chance talking about that today with Dave Glover's show?
That is one of the Dave Murray classics.
Yeah, he said that, he was the first one to say it, and now whenever he hears other weather folks say it, that he kind of feels like that's that he was the origin story goes all the way back to him.
Hamster-sized flakes and garden variety showers both remind me of Dave Murray. Who was on, by the way, he was on Good Morning America. He was like the Al Roker for America for years.
Yeah.
And then he was at Channel 5, did that nationally, then came back, worked at Fox 2 for decades, and now he's our meteorologist here at KMOX. So not only just like a St. Louis, fixture and icon, but a pretty good meteorologist to have on staff here.
Very good. I'm 43 years old, and I don't remember him from Good Morning America, but I remember being little and seeing him on Channel 2, and my dad telling me, hey, that's the guy who used to be on Good Morning America. For me to be 43, and I don't remember, I don't know the year exactly that he ended his run at Good Morning America, but it was obviously very early on in my life. For him to have that kind of run in the St. Louis market and still here with us at KMOX, it's pretty remarkable.
That is, that's like exactly my story, because I wasn't old enough to see him on GMA either. But my dad told me about that. He would tell me about, Mike Bush. He's got that sports department where Trey Wingo and Matt Weiner, he's got all these people he brings up through St. Louis and sends nationally and introduced me to KMOX. He's the reason why I'm here.
That's very, very cool. Thanksgiving, do you have any big Thanksgiving traditions that you do every year that you would like to share before we let you go here?
Just a ton of mashed potatoes and stuffing, and I'm a pumpkin pie guy.
Okay.
So some people like the pecan. We usually have both.
I don't like pecan. I'm with you. I'm not a pecan pie guy. I definitely pumpkin pie is the goat of Thanksgiving pies.
It truly is. Actually, the goat of like Thanksgiving dessert would probably be my mom takes the heavy cream and whips up the fresh cream for on top of the pies.
Oh, okay, that sounds good.
Yeah.
My wife makes like this. It's a pretzel Jello casserole with like Cool Whip casserole sort of thing. And it's really good, and I view it more as a dessert, yet she views it more as something that's kind of part of the meal. So she'll put it, other people put it on their plate like as the part of the meal, where I always wait to eat it like after I do the turkey and all the other kind of more hearty type food.
Pretzel and Jello?
Yeah, it's really good.
What flavor Jello?
Like cherry, I guess.
Okay.
Strawberry. Okay. So Daniel Hindkamp is here. He knows what I'm talking about. It's really good. So it's one of my favorite things that she makes, and that is the leftover that has the least amount of time being left over because we eat it very quickly afterwards.
Oh, I thought you were commentating on how it lasts in the fridge.
No, I'm commenting on how quickly it goes into my mouth.
I would have to. I'm going to be honest. When I hear cherry Jello and whipped cream and pretzels, I'm curious. I guess
it's good.
It's
very good. So I can all I can tell you is it's very good. What do you have a side that is your favorite side?
I mean, I love mashed potatoes any day.
Okay.
But stuffing is one of those that...
I don't like stuffing.
You don't?
No.
With gravy?
Mm-mm.
Oh, my gosh.
I don't like cranberries either, like the cranberry sauce.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of that. Green bean casserole, that's a good one. Are you in on that? Okay, no. I'm trying to think. What other sides are there? Rolls are good.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. So, all right. Well, I'm glad we could chat
now
this one
I'm
up.
hungry.
Well,
what am I going to do?
There's a vending machine down the hallway, Michael.
No mashed potatoes in there.
All right. Happy Thanksgiving to you.
You too. Happy Thanksgiving to both you guys.
Sounds good. That's Michael Calhoun from the news department joining us here on the program. In about 5-10 minutes, we're going to talk with Matthew Rocchio. We're going to talk. Billikens have a huge one tomorrow. It's a big opportunity for them against Santa Clara. So we'll talk with him. And then we've got a guy coming up later on this hour. Talk through a study that was done about sports fans in Missouri, somewhat connected to the legalization of sports gambling on December 1st, but some interesting insights on some of the passions when it comes to fandom in the state of Missouri. So we'll do that coming up in just a little while. A couple text messages coming in, and appreciate everybody being tuned in. Got one for the 314. Said, after 2 years of not making the playoffs, the Cardinals should not be in a rebuild. They should be all in to try to make the playoffs. One can't win a championship if they're not in the playoffs. I appreciate the message. I appreciate you listening in. I'm not trying to be dismissive or disrespectful of your comment because I do understand where you are coming from, but I think it is that type of belief. I was going to use the word dangerous. That's over the top. That's me being like a hot take guy, which I'm not. I think it's incorrect. And I don't think it gets the Cardinals closer to a World Series championship. First off, the correct part of that message, of that text. You're right. Can't win a championship if you don't get into the playoffs. But you know what? You're not likely to win a championship if you are not putting your organization in a place where you can consistently produce high-end players. The Dodgers can go buy a championship. They can do that. There's a few other teams that can do that. But even teams that can do that aren't always successful doing it. See the New York Mets, who have spent tons of money. How about the Yankees, who have spent like $1 billion since their last World Championship? Just because you have all the money in the world doesn't mean that you're going to get a championship. Now, the Dodgers are very smart, whereas the Mets at times don't spend money with a high level of intelligence. I give the Dodgers a lot of credit. Yes, they have resources that other teams do not have, but they do it in a smart way. So credit goes to the Dodgers, even though part of it is just the fact that they can spend a lot of money. But if you're the Cardinals and you want to be a team, just because you haven't been in the playoffs for a couple years doesn't mean that there should be a level of urgency to skip steps, because when you skip steps, all of a sudden you're not actually creating something that is sustainable. And I understand the frustration. I understand the frustration more than most people, because you know what? I sit in the press box at every Cardinals game and I look down and I look around and I see a bunch of empty seats. And it's an environment that makes me at times sad, because I know what it should be and what it's not, and what hopefully it will be again. Because the environment at many Cardinals games over the last couple of years has been nothing short of stale. And I don't want that. Nobody wants that. If you love the city of St. Louis, you don't want that, because how we feel in this city on a day-to-day basis during the summer can be so connected to what's going on with our baseball team. So I understand when somebody's saying, why are they in a rebuild? Shouldn't they just go buy some pieces and try to be good sooner than later? I don't think so, because I want this team to be a team that can actually legitimately win World Series, that have the talent to win World Series. And I mentioned Dylan Cease earlier. Dylan Cease just got $30 million per year over a 7-year contract, and he's a guy that doesn't pitch you past 5 innings most nights. Okay, the cost of pitching, the cost of many things, and not that the Cardinals can't spend more money than they've spent. They can spend money. I'm not just giving them a free pass on money, and we can revisit this in the future for sure. But I feel very good about the fact that once the Cardinals get back into a competitive window, they will be at a place again where they'll spend money and spend money at a high level. But what that means is, I use this example all the time. When 2 years ago, you go spend $22 million to get Kyle Gibson and Lance Lynn to be your 3rd and 4th starter or 4th and 5th starter, however you would have viewed it in that moment. Well, those positions on the roster can be filled with guys you develop. When you go spend 20, 25, maybe $30 million at some point on a player, well, they need to be players who are at the high end of the roster. Guys that legitimately get you closer to winning a World Series. With all due respect to Kyle Gibson and Lance Lynn, the Cardinals did not get a single step closer to winning the World Series when those two players were brought in, outside of the fact that those two players gave you a little bit of a better shot at being a playoff team. But they weren't going to go win you a World Series. Now, it needs to be better at the top of the roster. I've gotten a bunch of messages today talking about the DeWitts needing to sell the team. I am as against that as possible. I think I'm critical of the DeWitts in the sense that they were the stewards of the team as this down period has occurred over the last few years, and they let some things get away from them that they should not have let get away. This team fell behind in many ways, many other organizations, but I think they're spending the money where they need to spend it right now in the correct places. Like I said earlier, I think they go back to upping the payroll down the line once they're in a competitive window, and I think the track record of the DeWitts since they bought the team is a pretty darn good track record, and I will defend them on that. We'll take a break. When we come back, we are going to shift gears. We'll talk a little Billikens basketball. Might get a little City SC in there as well. Our friend Matthew Rocchio joins us in just a moment. It's a Gray Bar Sports Open Line on KMOX.
Overhead Door Company of St. Louis, the genuine, the original, present 100 years of KMOX.
Today was October 7th, 1944.
There when St. Louis celebrated.
The only streetcar World Series in St. Louis. It was the Cardinals against the Browns. And Stan the Man went deep.
Man on first, 1 out. Top of the first inning. Stan Musial, another left-handed hitter. The slugger of the card stands in there. Pitch to him, swung on, a long ball hit deep to right field. It's going far out into right field. It's landing on the roof for a home run.
That was Stan's only home run of that series. The Cardinals beat the Browns in 6 games.
There for every headline, every heartbreak, every heartbeat. KMOX. The voice of St. Louis. Brought to you by Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. The genuine, the original.
If you're drowning in IRS debt and can't afford to pay, then you need to take advantage of special IRS tax programs that are available and free yourself from IRS collection efforts once and for all. Due to the financial hardship consumers are facing throughout the country, the Internal Revenue Service has made it easier to settle delinquent tax problems. An open phone line has been established by Community Tax for consumers to call and see if they qualify. Take down this number or store it in your cell phone, but call the Community Tax Helpline at 800-269-3454. If you owe back taxes to the IRS and cannot afford to pay them back, or even if you have years of unfiled tax returns, there's no need to fear anymore. But you have to call the Community Tax Helpline today at 800-269-3454 for the help that you need. Don't take on the IRS alone. They can attack your wages, savings, pension, home, and even your Social Security check. Call 800-269-3454 for your free consultation and to see if you qualify. That's 800-269-3454.
more. If you're one of the millions of Americans behind on your taxes, if you're afraid to open your mail because IRS collection letters could be coming, listen carefully. The IRS is cracking down, taking paychecks, freezing bank accounts, revoking passports. That's a fact. But here's what most people don't know. There are official tax relief programs designed to help struggling taxpayers. Programs that could save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief. Optima's award-winning team will fight to protect your paycheck, your passport, and your property. Their tax attorneys and licensed tax professionals will work tirelessly to get you the best deal possible with the IRS. Every day, penalties and interest keep piling up, so don't wait. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-348-0269. 800-348-0269. 800-348-0269.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
NeoVitan began with one doctor's mission to help others feel their best. After years of caring for patients, Dr. Ken Ribicki, a St. Louis physician, created NeoVitan, a line of multivitamins designed with quality, safety, and everyday wellness in mind. Each formula is made in the U.S. using the finest domestic and international ingredients to support real people living real lives. Discover the difference today with NeoVitan, available at Schnucks, Dierbergs, and NeoVitan.com. NeoVitan, trusted nutrition from St. Louis for St. Louis.
It's the biggest savings event of the year. Menards, 11% rebate ends Thanksgiving Day. Save big money on everything you need for any project. We've got something for everyone. Homeowners, contractors, DIYers, the kids, and even grandma. Hurry, Menards 11% rebate ends Thanksgiving Day.
Save big money at Menards.
11% mail-in rebate is a merchandise credit check. Good on future in-store purchases. See menards.com for details.
Hello, I'm John Rooney. Congratulations to KMOX on 100 years strong. Truly making KMOX the voice of St. Louis.
I've got plenty to be thankful for. I haven't got a great big yacht to sail from shore to shore. Still, I've got plenty to be thankful for.
It's Gray Bar Sports Open Line right here on KMOX, our Thanksgiving Eve edition of the program. Tomorrow, the Billikens are in action. They've got a really interesting game tomorrow. They take on Santa Clara. Santa Clara is always a really respectable program. They're more than that this year. They're undefeated with a road win against Xavier and a home win against Nevada. Of course, SLU is undefeated as well. To talk about that, we might get a little City SC talk in there as well. He is part of the team here at KMOX, also does work for STL Sports Central. He is our good friend, Matthew Rocchio, and he joins us right now. Matthew, always appreciate you taking the time with us. Happy day before Thanksgiving.
Of course, Mr. Pauley. Happy holidays.
All right, this is a big one tomorrow for SLU, and it feels like the Billikens have been getting almost better every game. Those first few wins, it felt like Josh Schertz would talk in post-game, and it was more about the negative things that happened. The narratives and the way they've played have certainly shifted the last 2 days, and now the level of competition goes up.
Yeah, I mean, they got to iron out the turnovers. You look at the numbers, that's the bottom line. This offense feels like its ceiling is extremely high, but right now the turnovers are just cutting its legs out from under it. So they need to figure out the turnovers. And listen, Santa Clara is a very good team. They're going to be a top 50 team. They're probably going to be a quad one game when all is said and done, which will be really big for the Billikens. But that's going to be a tough game. And if they continue to turn the ball over, it might end up being their first loss of the season.
These two teams played last year. Santa Clara won a game in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, 85-78. One thing that's been interesting, Matthew, about this team is it hasn't been just Robbie Avila. In fact, Schertz made a point in the last game of the fact that Avila only had to play, 21 minutes, and they let some other guys take over. It feels like there's a lot more opportunities for some secondary scoring from this team beyond Avila.
Yeah, absolutely. What you're really seeing right now in the rotation for the Billikens is developed to essentially there's 9 guys really in the rotation. When they get a big lead, that's when we really see more of the freshmen, Jax Kerr and Cameron Hudson. But there's a 9-guy rotation, and usually every game 8 guys are going to get there. So that's really been what we've seen a lot, is that 8 guys are going to get theirs out of those 9. But that's the thing, is that that's 8 guys that are going to get there. There's not a lot of college teams that have that luxury. The Billikens have that luxury, and so far what we're seeing is that spread out scoring is making them one of the more dynamic teams in college basketball.
We've seen Avila do his thing. We've seen Amari McCautry, but in the last game out, it was really Deion Brown and Trey Green. How important is it for guys like that to have the opportunity to kind of be the leading scorers and to be the leading individuals in any given game?
Listen, I can't say enough about Deion Brown. He has been such a revelation. He's been so much fun to watch. He really has been special. And Trey Green, when he gets involved, that's going to be, really good. And you saw him start kind of, hit double figures for the first time in their last game. When he gets going, it's going to open up a new scoring factor of their offense. Deion Brown is just, I don't know what to expect at this point because he's already blown past any expectations we should have had. Everything you saw from him as a freshman at UMBC and then as a sophomore when he makes the jump to the ACC at BC, you didn't know if any of it was going to translate, what could be better because he's on a better team. And so far, everything's gotten better with Deion Brown, and he's been the rebounder that he was, despite being 6'3". It seemed crazy to compare him to like Jordan Goodwin, considering what Goodwin did as a Billiken and what he's doing now in the NBA. And here it is, another 6'3" guard where they're running post-up plays for him in the half court. It's incredible.
I don't mean to be disrespectful to the non-conference schedule, but the non-conference schedule, for the most part, stinks. They just don't have enough really good opponents on it, and it's tough when you're not in a power conference, being able to schedule those games. Does that add that much more importance to these next 2 days, where they'll play, like you said, probably a quad one game against Santa Clara, and then they'll play either Minnesota or Stanford coming up on Friday, and this is really the only opportunity in non-conference to play these type of games?
Yeah, they just don't get a lot of Power 4 teams, and Josh Schertz has commented on it, and he said it. Power 4 teams are not looking to schedule dangerous mid-majors, and right now St. Louis, with the way they're playing, with beating Iowa up in a pre-season scrimmage that they didn't want to open to the public, probably for a reason, teams don't want to play SLU. It's risky, and so yeah, they have to take advantage of this schedule. Is this best case scenario? Is this schedule an at-large bid resume if they need it to be? I think it's borderline. Best case scenario is maybe. And so, yeah, to your point, they have to take every advantage they can.
And it's it puts them in a situation where there's that much more pressure, where it almost feels like you have to win your conference tournament. And if you don't win your conference tournament, you have to put together a remarkably good conference schedule to be in the mix for that at-large bid.
Yeah, you got to beat your Daytons, you got to beat your VCUs. You got to take care of business across the entire conference. And A-10's a tough conference. It's a physical conference. And, can the depth, push them through? It's going to be a lot better than it was last year. They're going to have a lot more margin for error. That's going to be a big part of it. But the bottom line is, can they, run clean the entire season? Something's going to hiccup. But does that depth last? That'll be a big question if we eventually see it be tested.
A couple more minutes with Matthew Rocchio. Again, we will have the Billikens game coming up tomorrow as they match up against Santa Clara. That game is going to start exclusively on 11:20 a.m. as we wrap up the Chiefs game here on 104.1 FM. And then once the Chiefs game wraps up, we'll have the Billikens both on 11:20 and 104.1 FM. If they win that game, they play at 6 on Friday. If they lose the game, they'll play at 8:30 on Friday. And that game will be here on KMOX. All right, let's jump over to City for just a second. The first moves being made of, I guess, the Corey Ray era. They declined the options on a handful of players. There's still some players out there that reportedly that they're talking with. Is there much to say at this point about the small roster moves that have been made here recently?
Not really. I mean, the bottom line is, I think the Josh Yaro one, right, a week or 2 weeks ago, I guess at this point, that was a big one because, he's a depth player who's on the older side. And when you talk about kind of reforming your roster, I think that's a big question mark. And it takes away a senior roster spot. And right now they don't have a ton of those open, and they do have some moves they still have to make. So they're looking at a little bit of a roster pinch. And then you add in the big thing of the announcement was more of who they're still talking to, which is St. Louis City SC is still in conversations with Henry Kessler, Conrad Vollum, and Devin Padelford for next season. And Vollum and Padelford are interesting ones because both of them were loans. So I'm not really sure if this just means they're free agents who aren't going back to their old club or if these are deals from previous, loan obligations, but what have you. Those are three players that if they do re-sign any of them or two or three of whatever, those will be other senior roster players. So the big thing right now with St. Louis City is that there's a little bit of a roster crunch, and that the senior roster can only have so many players. They only have so many holes, and yet they have X amount of needs to really fill to be a playoff level team next year. And the big question is going to be, do they have the spots open to even fill those needs?
They also don't have a coach lined up yet. Critchley's still around, but there's no guarantee he's going to be back. Do you get the sense on what the timeline might be on when they really dive in on that?
I think there's a good chance we see it in the first week of December. It would honestly shock me if we come out of Thanksgiving, get a whole nother 10 or 12 day span and get nothing. If we're talking December 10th, December 15th, or something along those lines, that's when I think a lot of City fans would probably raise the red flag and be like, okay, this is taking a little bit longer than it's supposed to. You guys had a pretty long reach here to start this search and then add in Corey Ray once you hired him. Seems like you should be able to get this done. I think that's a fair expectation because there's just so much to do. I mean, how much of this system are they going to change? We've heard Gigliani talk about it when they made the move from Lutz Pfannenstiel. We've heard Corey Ray talk about it, that Midwestern ethos, playing a little bit of an upbeat tempo soccer. How much is Corey Ray really going to want to do that? How is the roster build going to reflect that? What is the head coach going to want to do? There's a lot of questions to ask, and not a very long offseason.
Matthew Rocchio covers the Billikens and City SC for STL Sports Central. Follow him on Twitter at RockSTL. That's RoccSTL. Matthew, thanks so much for taking the time. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving, and we'll talk again very, very soon.
You as well. Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Very good. That's Matthew Rocchio joining us. We appreciate him taking a few moments. I'm pretty fired up about tomorrow's Billikens game. I'm excited for this one. With all due respect to all the teams that they have played so far, this is the chance to get out of St. Louis and to play a quality opponent, and it's going to be fun to see what they can do against Santa Clara, and that's a good Santa Clara team they're going to match up against. Matthew mentioned the closed-door scrimmage against Iowa. The report was that they essentially won that scrimmage. They got the exhibition win against Bradley on the road, so that was a good opportunity. But now this is the first time for real that they're going to be away from St. Louis playing a game that matters. And again, you could hear the start of that game on 11:20 a.m. as the Chiefs wrap up on 104.1 FM, and then we'll go to the full simulcast once again coming up tomorrow. Don't go anywhere. Some interesting facts about Missouri sports fans. We'll explain coming up in just a moment right here on KMOX.
A KFC tale in the pursuit of flavor. The holidays were tricky for the Colonel. He loved people, but he also loved peace and quiet. So he cooked up KFC's $4.99 chicken pot pie. Warm, flaky, with savory sauce and vegetables. It's a tender chicken-filled excuse to get some time to yourself and step away from decking the halls, whatever that means. The Colonel lived so we could chicken. KFC's Chicken Pot Pie. The best $4.99 you'll spend this season.
Prices and participation may vary while supplies last. Taxes, tips, and fees extra.
Selling your home, it's one of the biggest financial decisions you'll ever make. You could go it alone, trying to navigate market trends, determine fair pricing, and tackle tricky negotiations on your own. You could second guess every decision, wondering if you're doing it right. Then there's the showings, the offers, and the mountain of paperwork. Or you could work with the expertise of a Realtor, here to guide and help protect as you make your next big move. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors. Right by you.
If you or anyone you care about is facing a family legal matter, call Cordell & Cordell today at 1-855-GET-LEGAL.
There's a lot on the line in divorce. This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell, the largest family law firm in the country, with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. But being big doesn't mean less personal or less local. Our attorneys live and work in your community, and as neighbors, they understand the challenges your families face. Divorce touches all areas of your life: your home, savings, retirement, and of course, kids. So when you find yourself facing divorce, you need a partner you can count on.
If you or anyone you care about is facing divorce, contact Cordell & Cordell today. With over 100,000 clients served, we understand the challenges you're facing on a personal level. Call Cordell & Cordell today at 1-855-GET-LEGAL. That's 1-855-GET-LEGAL. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. 600 Kelwood, St. Louis.
Hey, Cardinal Cowboy here. Who would have thought
thought a car crash would have led to charities, TV shows, and cheering with the best fans in the world. I'm thankful for every day. And so are my friends at Renner Garage Door. They've been turning garage doors from zero to hero since 1966. With help from trusted brands like Delden, Amar, and LiftMaster, honest family-style service you can count on. So giddy up and get your free repair or replacement quote today. Giddy up!
R-E-N-N-E-R, R-E-N-N-E-R.
Here's an energy efficiency tip from Quiver River Electric Cooperative. Thinking about purchasing new appliances? Consider both the purchase price and the cost to operate the appliance over its lifetime of 10 to 20 years. When shopping, look for the Energy Star label. These Energy Star qualified products exceed minimum standards for efficiency and quality. You can save about 15% of your normal energy use with these appliances. For more tips, visit quiver.com or call us at 1-800-392-3709.
What's up, Missouri? Tony Gonzalez here. I've spent a lot of Sundays right here playing in front of the best fans in football. And now it's almost your turn to get in the game because DraftKings Sportsbook is coming to the Show Me State on December 1st. Soon you'll get fast payouts when you win, a safe and secure app that's easy to use, and promos that keep the action going all season long. It's America's top-rated sportsbook app. New customers can sign up right now and score $300 in bonus bets on launch day, December 1st.
Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code KMOX. New Missouri customers, sign up today and score $300 in bonus bets once we're live. That's code KMOX. In partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 and over. Physically present in Missouri. Eligibility restrictions apply. Terms at DraftKings.com/sportsbook. Subject to regulatory licensing requirements. Bonus bets are non-withdrawable and expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos.
Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports Open Line. Once again, Matt Pauley on KMOX.
It's Gray Bar Sports Open Line right here on KMOX. Of course, we are getting closer and closer to legal sports gambling in the state of Missouri. And the folks over at Covers.com did a really interesting study gauging some different things when it comes to fandom in the state of Missouri. And to talk about that, we're very happy to welcome on the program. He is the editor-in-chief of Covers.com. He is James Besson. James, thanks so much for taking some time. How are you?
I'm good, Matt. How are you today?
I'm good. So I got this email from you guys kind of going over the findings of your study, and I was not shocked to see that the Kansas City Chiefs might have the most loyal fan base in Missouri. But what did surprise me was right behind them, a college program in the St. Louis area, Lindenwood, actually comes number 2 on that list. That's a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, I have to say I was pretty surprised at the results myself as well. Not necessarily that the Chiefs not only finished first, but by a significant margin. But I think what you see with Lindenwood is just a very passionate fan base that cares a lot about this team. One thing that I should note with this study, we did ensure that we had an equal number of participants for each team. So you don't have a volume play here, which allows us to properly assess the pool of fans from each of these 9 franchises. And I think that's where, you might see with a team like Lindenwood in the OVC, just a little more loyalty, a little bit more, maybe this is my team, these are my guys. And it's reflected in the results of the survey, definitely.
Historically speaking, the two kind of flagship teams in the state of Missouri have been the Kansas City Chiefs and the St. Louis Cardinals. The Cardinals have fallen back here a little bit recently. They haven't been to the playoffs in a few years. What did you see in terms of Cardinals fans and where they're sitting right now in the research that you guys did?
One thing that I thought was interesting about the Cardinals, maybe there will be people who are a little bit surprised to see that they finished 4th on this list, slightly behind the Blues and ever so slightly ahead of the Royals. I thought it was interesting the 3 teams kind of bunched together in the survey. But St. Louis ranked really well. The Cardinals did in emotional loyalty. And that does not surprise me. This is a very proud fan base. All teams claim to have fans that are passionate and proud, but you really see it shine through. I think performance plays a little bit of a factor here. I think people are a little more inclined to be prouder of their teams when they're performing well, but certainly, we ask questions like, is your fandom inherited from family? How much does the performance of your team affect your mood? And while the Chiefs, again, number 1 with a bullet here, I think what you see in the Cardinals finishing 2nd in this section is a really strong bond with this team, more so than any team not named the Chiefs. And so that shone through in the survey. I can't say it surprised me, but it certainly did stand out.
Yeah, I can tell you, living in St. Louis, when the Cardinals are doing well, life is good in St. Louis, and when the Cardinals are not doing well, they're seemingly a dark cloud. I don't know if there's anything that impacts the city of St. Louis and just kind of how everybody's feeling more so than Cardinals baseball.
Fair enough, and you know that comes through in a variety of different ways when you do a survey like this. Again, I think results matter a lot, but when you get down to it, with teams like the Cardinals. Regardless of how they're performing, people are invested in the results, right? And so you live and die with the successes and failures, the struggles and the triumphs. And, the Chiefs have the benefit of having been one of the, if not the most successful North American franchise over the last 10, 12 years. But what you have with the Cardinals is a fan base that, that there's a lineage there, right? It's a very special thing to be connected to a team like this that has such a rich history. And you can see that in the results of a survey like this, which is fantastic to see. And again, it really speaks to the connection that Cardinals fans have with their team.
You mentioned making sure that you get a sample size that reflects all teams and reflects all parts of the states. When the Rams left St. Louis, the Chiefs were really able to come in and take over this market. And we see Chiefs stuff everywhere here on KMOX. We run the Chiefs games. They're always on TV here. I don't know how much you're able to kind of lock in on based off, where people were living and what their fandom was. But can you speak to the St. Louis fandom for the Kansas City Chiefs, if that makes sense?
Well, that's an interesting question because when I broke down the survey results, again, we had suspected that the Chiefs would be number one, but the margin of victory in pretty much every category aside from financial investment and that speaks to when you're a fan of a team, you spend on them no matter what. I think what you're seeing here is a state that really rallies behind this football team. And it doesn't surprise me in the least that you see the passion of Missouri football fans transfer to the Chiefs when the Rams left town. It doesn't surprise me in the least that these results reflect that. Just seeing even engagement, right? How often are you watching the team on TV? How often do you interact with the team's content? No team is even in the same stratosphere as the Chiefs when it comes to Missouri-based sports franchises, including the other three major pro teams. There's just something really special, and clearly the state has rallied behind this team. And again, it hasn't hurt that this team has been wildly successful. You see it in the way that people are proud to wear the colors, the way that people are rallying around the tailgates and really making Chiefs football appointment viewing, which again is a state thing. I think more than anything else, you really see that reflected in just how dominant Missouri is when it comes to the overall results here.
The other flagship program that covers the entire state really is the University of Missouri, and you guys had an interesting finding on Tigers fans because it sounds like they are a group of fans that even compared nationally, this is a group of fans that are willing to especially travel long distances.
Yes, absolutely. And it's really something special when you have fan bases that are willing to move around to follow their team. There's very few programs in college develop a reputation for traveling well. I think Missouri certainly ranks up there on that list. And there's something to be said for especially a conference like the SEC where every game, again, appointment viewing, I use that term a lot. Every game has such high stakes and it is such a huge game within the conference because of the passion that people have and the popularity that the conference has. And so for you to be able to say that the Tigers are one of the best traveling fan bases in a conference that is traditionally known for its rabid fan bases, I think that says everything you need to know about Missouri fandom.
I opened up this conversation saying this is connected to sports betting beginning December 1st in the state. Can you speak to me a little bit about how what we have just discussed, how all of that can influence betting behavior that will begin on December 1st legally in Missouri?
Well, it stands to reason. Any fan base that is introduced to legal sports betting is largely going to be focused on its own team. That's a trend that we've seen since PASPA was first repealed in 2018, and now approaching 40 states that have legalized sports betting. Missouri, the newest one on that list, coming up next week. I think what you'll see is an awful lot of action on the home teams. People love to bet on their own teams. They have a vested interest. It gives them another reason to celebrate. You may see the odd fan that will do what's called a hedge, which is, betting on the opposite team so they win either way. But for the most part, people don't really like to do that. I think they like to lean into their fandom. And again, Missouri has such a passionate sports fan base. Our sports betting analyst, Ryan Butler, who will be covering the launch next week in Missouri on the ground, he has estimated that Missouri will bring in roughly $4 billion in betting handle in the first year alone, which is a massive number. And again, speaks to the wild popularity of sports in the state and the variety of sports. Again, you have a wonderful tapestry of teams across several sports, marquee programs, marquee franchises, and people are going to show their fandom with their wallets. That's what we've seen in every state so far, and I don't expect it to be any different in Missouri.
And two major cities with major sports franchises in both St. Louis and Kansas City, to be able to tap into two large cities with sports gambling going live December 1st, I think that goes a long way towards those numbers that you just talked about.
It certainly does. Absolutely. And, one thing that we have seen that I'm sure has been shared around, a lot of people in Missouri would travel to Kansas to make bets. And now that is money that they can keep in the state, bet closer to home, bet with friends, bet with family. One thing that we've seen in our research and the trends that we've seen is that people have really turned betting into this shared experience, something that you can do with your buddies, something you can do with your family, something you can do when you're out on the town. It's very easy to do. You don't have to be tremendously invested in it, but it's certainly easier to do when, again, you have such a wonderful pair of sports cities where there's passion and there's interest and there's, again, those deep roots. I think it speaks to the types of franchises that Missouri have. You have such deep roots there, and I think people will reflect that in the way that they choose to wager on those teams.
Tell me a little bit about what you guys do over at covers.com. I know this is a website that fans, especially as sports gambling goes live, might be very interested in.
We do quite a bit in the betting space, Matt. So primarily we provide picks and predictions articles for games. We've ramped up our Missouri coverage, so anyone looking for tips and strategies on the Blues, the Cards, the Royals, the Chiefs, the Tigers, this is the place to go. We also provide guidance in terms of which sports books people should consider in terms of bonus size, whether you prefer speedier payouts, whether you like a larger betting menu. We do reviews of all of the major sports books. We have reviews already in place for Missouri. If you're looking for the best options for which ones to sign up for right away, we allow you to tailor your search based on what you're looking for and then offer you the best suggestions from there.
The website is covers.com. He is the editor-in-chief of the website, James Basson. James, thank you so much for taking some time, especially on Thanksgiving Eve. I hope you and yours have a wonderful Thanksgiving, and really appreciate you taking some time with us today.
Thanks so much, Matt. I wish the same for you. Anytime.
That is James Basson. Again, he is the editor-in-chief of Covers.com. Certainly some interesting results out of this, kind of going through some of the things we didn't fully talk with him. Again, Chiefs fans dominate in the state of Missouri when it comes to engagement, emotional loyalty, and public pride. Mentioned Lindenwood finishing second while leading all Missouri teams in financial loyalty. The Blues edge out the Royals and the Cardinals as the number 2 most loyal major pro sports fans. And then St. Louis City SC and the Missouri State Bears, they each register negative scores when it comes to team color merchandise participation. So the loyalty index scores in the state of Missouri, number 1, Kansas City, number 2, Lindenwood. Again, that's the shocking one here, followed by the Blues, the Cardinals, then the Royals, Mizzou, Sporting Kansas City, then St. Louis City SC, and then Missouri State. That is the top 10. When it comes to engagement, so in addition to the overall, they do a number of other categories to bring it all together. Just engagement, top 3 spots were Kansas City, Lindenwood, Missouri. When it came to emotional loyalty, so how strongly does being a fan of this team feel like part of your identity? How much does the performance of the team affect your mood? Chiefs number 1, followed by the Cardinals and then the Blues. So that's not much of a surprise there. Public pride, Chiefs number 1, Royals and Blues are tied for second. So that's about how likely are you to recommend supporting this team to others? How often do you wear team colors? And would you support another team if you moved out of Missouri, or would you keep your support for that one? Financial loyalty, how much have you spent on this team in the past 12 months? Amazingly, Lindenwood is number 1 on that list, followed by the Chiefs, and then Blues and City are tied for third. So some interesting things coming out of this study that the folks over at Covers.com did. We will take a break, and when we return, we'll wrap up the program and get you ready for Thanksgiving here on Thanksgiving Eve. More in a moment right here on KMOX.
You know Gray Bar for electrical parts, but there's one more thing you may not be thinking of us for that can help maximize your next project's total value. Our pre-project planning services are designed to help you win the bid, save on labor costs, and keep your installers productive across your entire build. The sooner you call us, the better. Because when we're there from the beginning, we can anticipate your needs and help you solve problems before they become problems. Yep, Gray Bar does that.
You've got your whole life ahead of you, so choose a Medicare plan you can count on. And that's what you get with a Medicare Advantage plan from United Healthcare. With more than 45 years' experience serving its members, United Healthcare has plans with low monthly premiums that fit your life today and as your needs change tomorrow. The Medicare annual enrollment period ends December 7th, so go to uhc.com/Medicare today. United Healthcare Medicare plans. It's Medicare coverage Missouri can count on.
Winter Wonderland, presented by St. Louis County Parks and Recreation at Tillis Park, is open Wednesday, November 26th through January 3rd. Enjoy more than 1 million dazzling lights with holiday characters and festive scenes. Whether you're carrying on a family tradition or starting a new one, you'll never see anything like Winter Wonderland at Tillis Park. Happy holidays from Kirkwood Fence, Tully Tire, Washington U Orthopedics, Restoration One, and Happy Roof. Get more info at KMOX.com.
For residential and commercial heating repairs, service, maintenance, or installation, contact Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Installation. With over 50 years of HVAC service, get in your comfort zone this winter. Visit aircomfortservice.com. That's aircomfortservice.com.
Retirement shouldn't feel like balancing a checkbook while blindfolded. I'm Gary Goldberg, and my team helps you see the big picture so you can retire younger, richer, and with less anxiety. Because guessing is not a strategy. Tune in to Wealth and Wisdom with Gary Goldberg Saturday mornings at 7 here on KMOX.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell, definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. Do you feel stupid for buying a timeshare? Don't. It's not your fault. You were most likely told you could rent it, and it was a great financial investment. And the deal was available today only. If this happened to you, contact your resort or Wesley Financial Group for help today.
Call Wesley now for your free exit information kit. 800-242-3131. 800-242-3131.
At Cardinal Glennon Children's Hospital, every moment with our patients is a gift. This holiday season, you can be the reason children have hope as they fight serious illness and reach milestones once thought impossible. Your gift provides life-saving care to those who need it most. Please donate today at treeofhope.org and be the reason a child has hope for tomorrow.
Dan owed an unbelievable amount of money to the IRS.
I got behind on my taxes. It's a horrible feeling.
He was in denial.
And when I got those letters from the IRS, you wanted to act like they didn't exist.
Finally, Dan turned to Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $1 billion for their clients.
Optima got me a settlement with the IRS. These people are really people-friendly. It was every bit of a new lease on life for me.
The fast action and the great results made Dan's head spin.
I felt like I was in a dream, but it's real, and I have paperwork to prove it. They got the job done, and life is good.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation.
If you're worried about what's going to happen with the IRS, stop worrying. Make the call now.
Call 800-348-0269. 800-348-0269. 800-348-0269.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports Open Line. Once again, Matt Pauley on KMOX.
Starting to wrap things up here on the Gray Bar Sports Open Line right here on KMOX. Do want to give you a couple programming notes just going into Thanksgiving and Friday as well. We will take tomorrow, Thanksgiving, off and be back with you in some form or fashion coming up on Friday. Now, tomorrow is actually kind of a historic day in the history of KMOX because tomorrow, for the first time ever, we are going to be splitting the signals. 104.1 FM and 11:20 AM are going to be split for a certain amount of time. The Chiefs and the Cowboys play a 3:30 kickoff with, I believe, 2 o'clock pregame. We'll have that for you here on KMOX on 104.1 FM and 11:20 AM. However, Billikens basketball, they are going to be in action, taking part in the Acrisure Invitational. They've got a game against Santa Clara, and that game is set to begin at 6 o'clock. So the Chiefs game is not going to be over. So we will start the Billikens broadcast on 11:20 a.m., and then once the Chiefs broadcast gets over, we will join in progress on 104.1 FM, the Billikens game, as they take on this is a interesting matchup tomorrow for the Billikens as they take on Santa Clara, 2 undefeated teams. SLU's 5-0, Santa Clara 6-0. With all due respect to the Billikens, Santa Clara, their resume right now is a little bit better. They have a road win against Xavier. They've got a home win against Nevada. So they've beat some good teams here in the early going. So they'll play. But again, you can hear the start of that game on 11:20. You can hear the end of the Chiefs game on 104.1. Eventually, everything will come back together once the Chiefs game does wrap up. Now, if the Billikens win this game, they are going to play at 6 o'clock on Friday, which would mean we would have no Sports Open Line. If they lose the game, they would play later, I think at 8:30. So that means we would have an entire Sports Open Line on Friday. So I don't know if I'm going to be talking to you for Sports Open Line on Friday. We will learn that tomorrow. Thank you so much for being tuned in for the program today. There'll be a quiz on all that information coming up later on. Appreciate you being tuned in. Not to be cliche, but as we do go into Thanksgiving, I can't tell you how thankful I am that I get to be able to talk with you on an every single day basis here on this station. It is such a blessing for me, and the fact that you choose to spend parts of your day so often is really cool. So I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful Thanksgiving, and I will talk to you again on Friday in some form or fashion. Might just be for Rush Hour Sports, might be for Sports Open Line, but nonetheless, have a great Thanksgiving, and we will talk to you again coming up on Friday right here on KMOX.
Hey, this is Charlie Brennan. Have you noticed loose bricks or missing mortar around your house?